Sadly, I've not seen one from AEW this week, which is very unusual. But I have got a few things written down, so let's go down this. There's a little bit of news. We've got the rating for NXT, which didn't look like a very good rating, but we'll go down the cards. We'll talk about the bit of news, and we'll jump into the chat. So we've got an Adam Copeland promo tonight. Don't know what he's going to be saying, but obviously he's engaged in this feud at the moment with Luchasaurus and Nick Wayne and Christian and all of that stuff. So we're going to be hearing from Adam Copeland. We're obviously going to be hearing from Tony Khan. Now, I don't know what this is about, but there's a lot of speculation that it could be to do with a streaming service. There have been rumors that the back catalogue for AEW is going to be put onto a streaming service. And then there are rumors that eventually AEW could completely move to wherever that is. So if it's going to be, people keep saying Max. I don't know what that is. Is it HBO Max or something? I keep seeing that getting mentioned. So could it be a case that the back catalogue is going to be announced that it's going there, and then when the TV deals come around to be negotiated, could it be that all of AEW lives on there? So basically that's your one-stop AEW shop. Not sure, but seems to be that that's what a lot of people are speculating. Don't think it's going to be a show. I don't think it's going to be anything to do with that show at the end of the year, because that's already announced. They've got a show on December 30th, which I am very grateful for, in all fairness, because we don't actually have anything in December for like WWE outside of NXT. So the fact that they're giving us a show on December 30th, all joking aside, it is appreciated. So we've got that show coming up. But we know that when it's happening, we know where it's happening, and we know it's called World's End. So I don't think it's going to be anything to do with that. So streaming, something like this, that's where my head's at, but we'll see. Shida is going to be defending against Willow, her championship, women's championship. Orange Cassidy is defending the international championship against Claudio. We've got Cool Hand Luke and Daddy Magic, Daddy, Big Daddy. They're going to be taking on Jericho and Kenny Omega. Bizarre, but kind of fun at the same time. MJF and Three Partners, which I'm thinking are going to be the Acclaimed, taking on Bullet Club Golds. And that is everything that's been announced. There's not loads. Not as much as what we normally get. Well, I don't know. It differs, doesn't it, to be honest? Sometimes there's like 8, 9 things. Sometimes there's 6. Here we've got 6. So that's everything that I've seen. That was from the official preview with Renee and RJ City. That's everything they mentioned. So I just jotted that down. So yeah, that's what we've got coming up. And before I get into the chat, NXT came in with a number last night, and that number was 676. Shame it wasn't 666. It was only 10,000 out from being the perfect number for Halloween, but it was 676, which is nowhere near as fun. And so the fact they've now dipped below that 700 mark is disappointing, but you know, we know that Becky was definitely bringing eyes, and obviously she's not around anymore. There wasn't really any major star power there, to be honest, at all. It was very reliant on the roster they have. They did have like Shotzi and Scarlett as hosts, but I don't think that's going to bring anyone in. They did get replaced as well by Kaylee Ray and Isla Dawn, but that wasn't announced. That just happened during the show. It was a bit awkward, actually. And again, I don't think that's going to bring any eyes in. So, yeah, you know, it is what it is. And it was on the same night as Halloween. There'll be a lot of people that will be out and about. Not that I think we should use it as an excuse. I think that it's, you know, considering where they've been to where they, you know, are 676, that is disappointing. But we'll see what they do next week. And we'll soon find out if it was just a Halloween night thing. So I am aware it is a big deal in America. I think it's a bigger deal over here as well now than it used to be. But 676, it is what it is. We all move on with our lives. Wrestle with Andy, shout out to you, buds. Hope you will. Says Nature Boy versus Jungle Boy. One more match. match. James said, if it is Max, then why should UK and international viewers care? Mrs. Armour Forever Firefly said, it's been way too many huge announcements for them to matter, in my humble opinion. It is going to be a holiday donation, Toys for Tots deal, said Esteban. Do you think that's what it's going to be? That's an interesting one, isn't it? Because to be honest, that wouldn't strike me as a huge deal. If you're going to, as like a huge announcement, if you're going to make a huge announcement, I sort of feel like it should be to connect with storyline, or it should be something to do with the program. If you're going to do a huge announcement and it's going to turn out to be a charity thing, it does seem a little seedy that you are using that to drive viewers to the show. Like, you're making this big donation, which, you know, brilliant, fantastic. No one can hate on that. But to use it in a roundabout way to get ratings, I could see some having a problem with that. I mean, to be honest, there's a lot of people out there that will have a problem, whatever this is. But if it's going to be a charity thing, I think we can all see what Twitter looks like right now in our minds, because I don't know that that's the right way to go about it. But look, we'll see what it is first. We'll see what it is. As I said, I was reading down the announcement thing, and a lot of people were saying something to do with streaming platforms and everything. And I've heard a lot of talk of like a big deal to get everything moved over to a streaming service. Now, they got to be careful with how they announce it, because obviously they don't want to upset TNT and TBS and all of that. But if it's within the same family, and I don't know how it works in America, but if it's within the same family, perhaps it would be a bit more acceptable, you know? So we'll see. We'll see. Mrs. Armour said, the AEW catalog isn't deep enough for me to get a streaming service to see it unless the pay-per-views get included in the cost. I think they would be. There is talk, and I can't remember where I've heard this now. I can't remember where I've heard it, so take it with a pinch of salt, right? But there is talk of there being a serious number for AEW, like a billion, right? Like a serious number. Very similar to the kind of deal the WWE got for their back catalogue and for their pay-per-views. It could be that AEW gets something similar where, like Peacock, but I keep hearing Max, take the back catalogue, take the pay-per-views, you get to watch them on there. But the difference is, of course, for $1 billion, Peacock would want the live shows as well. They would want Dynamite, they would want Collision, they would want Rampage. With WWE, they're getting paid $1 billion by Peacock, but they don't get SmackDown, they don't get Raw, they don't get NXT, not live. They get them after they've been out a few weeks, but they don't get them live. I think the difference with the AEW deal, because they're obviously not as big as WWE, is they could get a big number, but it is all in. It's everything. It's Dynamite, it's Collision, it's Rampage, it's the pay-per-views, it's the back catalogue. It is your one-stop shop for AEW, which, to be honest, could be amazing for them, because if they are going to be getting that money up front, then they don't need to worry over the next, say, 10 years, do they, as to, like, financially, because they're getting this big lump of money coming their way. And obviously they're going to need to make sure that their fan base doesn't get decimated or anything, and that the program doesn't go stale and just get cancelled. They're going to have to make sure that they're, you know, still delivering, but that would be huge for them. That would be massive. That would be, you know, as long as financially it works. And I don't know their numbers, but if you think about how much they are making for Collision, Dynamite, Rampage, then how much they make from their pay-per-views, add that together over a space of 10 years, is $1 billion a fair number? I don't know. Is the answer. I don't know. I don't have access to those books. But Tony will know. And if he is going to announce that deal tonight, or if we're taking steps towards that deal, then it would imply that in Tony's mind, that is more than a fair number. So if it's something like that, then I think we can agree that is big. That is big. I would say that is big, because you are really creating a destination, a hub for AEW, which they don't really have at the moment. I suppose they've got their website, but, you know, it's not really the same as like WWE's network or like the space they've got on Peacock, you know. I don't even know in America where you'd watch all the old shows if you wanted to watch them. Here in the UK, you go to Fight TV, and I think all the old shows are listed on there. I've never gone back and watched a single one, but I believe they're on there. But in America, I'm not sure. I know that in America, you do stuff with Bleacher Report, and I don't think we do that over here. So as James said earlier, like, it's a bit different wherever you are in the world. But yeah, you know, we'll see what it is. I don't want to get too stuck into that conversation just because I don't know that that's what it is. He might come out and announce some charity thing. He might come out and announce that they're doing a big show that hasn't been announced yet somewhere. So we'll have to wait and see as to what it is, and then we can react to it afterwards. It's going to be nice from a channel point of view, because it feels like it's been a while since we did like one of those videos during the stream where it's like, guys, I've got to do a video. I'm sorry. Because like, if there is a bit of news that's so big that we have to do a video on it, like, you know, we do one of those a stream sometimes. I feel like it's been a while since we did one. So I sort of feel like whatever this is going to be, you know, we could probably do a video on it. So I'm up for seeing what it is. And obviously we'll see the fallout of it as well. We'll see if people agree if it was big or not big. Right, let's try and blast down some of these comments. The Big Dog, shout out to you, my friends. The big announcement is Halloween is over, says Mike. If they include pay-per-views, then it would be different, says Mrs. Armour. Don't forget, Tony promised me something I've never seen before and then showed me WWE 20 years ago. I literally saw it already. I think most of us have, says William. 24 days until Doctor Who premieres on Disney Plus, says Jim. Jim, shout out to you. Who remembers when Paul Bearer managed LA Knights? I mean, I didn't watch it, but I'm aware of it. But Dylan, shout out to you. Doctor Who cares, as I call it, says James. Oh, shots fired. 200 episodes of Dark and 100 plus elevations, says Gongcast. Days, how is your TMJ today? Charles, cheeky, but thank you. Yeah, do you know what? It's not brilliant. I had a little bit of trouble getting to sleep last night, and what was even more upsetting was that there was no painkillers in the house. So I was really trying to get off to sleep. I eventually did, but then I kept waking up. And then today I've gone out and I've gone and picked up some Nurofen. So, I mean, I have painkillers like right next to me. So it feels great right now. I can't feel anything because I've got this long-lasting 8 hours, lasts up to 8 hours, pain relief Nurofen. So I've got that at the moment. So I'm feeling perfect right now. But I know that once it wears off, I'll probably just take some more, to be honest. But the problem is when you take painkillers, and I didn't know this because I don't really take painkillers or anything that often, but apparently you can only take 6 in a 24-hour period. 6 painkillers, that's it. So if you have a couple, like when you wake up, and then you have like a couple like at lunchtime or whatever, you can have another couple at, say, 6 o'clock or whatever, but that's got to get you through till the morning again. So like when you're going to sleep, like, if it was 8, then you could have a couple in the morning, couple at lunchtime, couple in the kind of early afternoon, couple before beds. So like 8 would make sense. What am I meant to do with 6? How am I meant to make this work? So, yeah, don't know. I'll have to see. I'll have to see like how it goes tomorrow. I know it's boring, but like this is the biggest problem in my life right now. Is this horrible flipping, and I don't even know how I did it. I think I did it blowing up a microphone that we spoke about yesterday, and that's a true story. But not JPEG said, could Jack Perry be the one under MJF's devil mask? He could. Halloween Havoc was clunky, especially for the first and the last match. More I see Elia, the more impressed I am, says Carl. Yeah, Halloween Havoc yesterday to me was a very mixed bag, yeah. I thought that the first night was much better. I think the haunted house stuff is... I think it's aimed at kids. I can only put it down to that. I mean, it's just not even good humor. There's a couple of laughs in there. There was a couple of moments that I chuckled. But by and large, no. And I mean, like the first match, as we said, it was a great match, but there was times in there where they were doing like some comedy stuff, and you're like, come on, man. If you're going to be like really chucking each other around, really laying it in, you're either going to go for that, down that roads, or you're going to go down the comedy roads. If you're going to try and mix the two together, you're going to end up with a bit of a wishy-washy situation. And I kind of felt like, by and large, they kept it pretty much where it needed to be. But just that odd occasion where they were bringing in some silly humor just sort of didn't ruin the match, but just meant that I maybe wasn't quite as giddy about it as some other people that were out there. Main event, I thought, was fine. There was some really great action, but it's the third time I've seen them in, it's just not the match I needed. It's not the match I was looking for. I'm definitely up for Ilya against someone different. And it looks like we're going to get that now. It looks like it's going to be Ilya against Baron Corbin. I thought the final of the breakout tournament was pretty good. I really like Kalani. Lola winning's probably the right call. So I really enjoyed that. The women's tag title match, I was a bit disappointed Chelsea didn't have a costume. I know that sounds crazy, but some of the funniest moments have been what Chelsea and Piper have been wearing over the past 7 days. So I was a bit disappointed they didn't have she didn't have a costume. But it didn't really matter. The match itself was just more about like JC wanting to cheat and blah, 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 blah. You know, I mean, it was just a bit of a throwaway thing. But it was fine. It was watchable. I mean, I'd say the show was watchable. It was fine, but I can't get as excited about it as some other people that I've seen out there. Because I honestly think the truth is that it was a bit of a mixed bag. There was some good, there was some bad, there was some cringe. And to be honest, I've seen better. I've seen better, way better NXT shows. And not even because of the star power. Just I don't know, just tighter. I do find, though, it's not just this year. For some reason, NXT, and maybe all of wrestling, just loses its mind a little bit when it gets to, like, Halloween specials. When it's got an opportunity to, like, do some silliness and kind of dress up and have trick and street fights and, you know, all this kind of stuff, they do sort of just abandon logic and just kind of go off into fairyland. So I do normally approach Halloween Havoc with a bit of a, this really might not be me kind of situation, but I thought last week was really good. This week I think was fine, passable, not really anything amazing. But that wasn't a decent main event, but I don't think anyone expected Carmelo to win. That was the problem. You know, it was a main event that, you know, was exciting, had some great moments, but I didn't expect Ilya to lose. So if you don't really have that, then it kind of really takes them away from the match, you know? So, yeah, I mean, fine. We move on. And we'll see what AEW have got for us tonight. I hope they haven't announced any Toni Storm tonight, but I hope there is Toni Storm. Because I'd love to see her. And I don't know if you saw this. I don't collect them personally, but they are doing some great stuff with those micro brawlers. They're, I think, a Pro Wrestling Tees thing. And they're doing a timeless Toni Storm one, and it's black and white, which is brilliant. So it's all done in like that kind of black and white look. Really, really cool. It's only a limited thing. As I said, I don't collect them. I could imagine like people having loads of them. I don't even know if they stand up of their own accord. They might do. But they do keep coming out with like little quirky ones that I'm like, oh, that's cool. They're nice. And this timeless black and white Toni Storm one I thought looked pretty decent. So, yeah, I saw that. The other thing I saw as well, I can't play it because we'll get hit with copyright, but there's a Doja Cat video. And it's the track I love. I'm sure everyone's heard it and enjoys it. It's that Paint the Town Red, you know, the Walk On By sample. And it's got like all the AEW women like doing a bit of a video to it. It sounds cringe, but it's actually been done really well. The production quality is really high. It sounds like a TikTok thing. It's absolutely not. They've gone to a location. It's been properly filmed, properly edited, lovely filter over the top of it. The women look like badasses in it as well. It's really well done. It's really good. It dropped earlier today. I don't really know why. I don't know if it's something to do with Halloween. Don't know. But Doja doesn't feature in it other than a little clip from the music video. So I think they've got permission to use the track. That's about it. But yeah, I didn't really get why we were doing it. But it looked good. So that was doing the rounds online as well. Right, I saw a super chat. I want to get to that. Someone's flexing with his branded ibuprofen, says Channel Nim. I honestly don't even know if that is la-di-da. I just grabbed something that I knew was painkillers. I mean, whatever takes the pain away. If it's going to be a case that the absolute basic stuff will do the same stuff, I would have grabbed that. I needed anything. I had nothing in the house. I grabbed a couple of packs of these, and I also got some, you'll be pleased to know, own brand paracetamol, right? They're not la-di-da. They're not sponsored by the Avengers or anything. They were just run-of-the-mill paracetamol. So anything I needed to get my hands on. I didn't have anything in the house. And I got to tell you, it was a panic last night. Knowing that all the shops were closed and I had no painkillers in the house there was a moment there. I had to pull myself together, have a little word with myself. I thought about John Cena and how he taught me about never giving up. And I thought about all those times where we've seen people have to overcome adversity. I really took some big lessons from wrestling last night to push on through. Mitchell, shout out to you, my friend. Hope you're well. Mitchell said, Days, do you think Logan wins the title? I do. Would that be good for business? Mixed. Do you think Priest cashes in? If so, how? No. Yeah, eventually, yes, but not at this show. Love you in the chat. Mitchell, shout out to you. I do think Logan wins. He may not, right? That's not me going 100%. That's me saying, if I'm a betting man, I'm going to say he does, right? I think that it's a bigger story if he wins. And there are so many ways that he can win, and it be that Ray is protected. It could be that members of the LWO turn on him, which starts a whole thing for Survivor Series. It could be that flipping Jake Paul gets involved, KSI gets involved. There could be so many different things that happen where Logan is able to just get that moment, get that pin, cheat his way to victory, and get the title. Is it good for business? Well, I don't think it's necessarily bad for business. As long as he wins it in a way where Ray's protected, then it's not really bad for business. I think that he can parade it on his podcast. The stories, imagine all the news stories, Logan Paul wins title. I mean, Logan Paul's just coming off that big match with Dylan Dennis. If he's going to now be given a championship in WWE, his first as well, by the way, you've got to think that news outlets are picking up on that, right? You've got to think that's a big, big deal. And he can parade that title around. He's a heel. If you're a fan of Logan, you're going to enjoy it. If you're not a fan of Logan, you're going to hate it, but you're meant to hate it because he's a heel. If you think that he's a part-time champ and he doesn't deserve it, good. You're meant to think that. He's a heel. And the only way it would be a problem is if someone was so upset about it, they stop watching. But I think WWE are probably thinking that ain't going to happen, to be honest. People might threaten to stop watching as a result of this, but they probably ain't going to tune out. And if we do lose a few people, we might gain some from Logan's fans tuning in to watch what happens instead. So if you do lose some, you might just gain some anyway. So it's a mixed bag. I think you will upset people. I think you're meant to upset people. I think that there could be some that threaten to not watch anymore. But then there'll be some that will be Logan fans that will tune in to see what's happening. So mixed bag. Mixed bag. I don't think there's ever really a way to know exactly what's going to happen. And who knows? They could do it, and it could absolutely be that everyone turns off, and it could absolutely bomb, but that's probably not going to happen. So I think for the fact that he can go around parading a title, be seen in photo shoots, wearing it, carrying it on red carpets, have it in the background of his podcast, blah, 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 blah. I think that they will do it. I don't think it's necessarily bad for business. I think be a little bit mixed. I mean, if you're going to upset your fan base, that's always a gamble. And this will upset the fan base. And I, more than anyone, can understand that. Because as I said, as we said many times, I am not a fan of celebrities actually having wrestling matches. But I think we can also agree that Logan is an exceptional talent. He's very athletic. Every match he's had has always delivered something. It's always been impressive. Really, the biggest frustration is we want him to compete more. It's not that he is an embarrassment or that this is bringing shame on the company or anything like that. Because if you've watched one of his matches, you'll see that he's a talent. He really is a talent. Very athletic. He's got a great size to him as well. He's quite tall, very confident on the microphone. He ticks all the boxes. It's just that he's not around enough for people to really get behind him. The one that I understand that people will be upset about is the whole crypto zoo, all that kind of stuff, right? But to be honest, those people, I'd imagine, if they are not watching Logan because of the crypto zoo stuff and all of the fallout of that, I've got to think they're not watching anyway. Because whenever Logan's been on, surely they would not watch anyway. So if they've not been watching, from a business point of view, you're not losing those people, are you? You've lost those people already. So yeah, I think that it's a mixed bag when it comes to the business side. I don't think you can really accurately tell. I think there'll be some positives. I think there'll be some negatives. In regards to what was the other bit, Damian cashing in. I don't think it happens on this show. I certainly am not expecting him to cash in on Roman. I'm not expecting him to cash in on LA. Mainly because I'm not expecting LA to get the victory. I think if he's going to cash in, it would be on Seth or Drew. And there's maybe an outside chance of it, but I don't see it. I could see him trying. Be one of those where he comes down and he tries, but he doesn't succeed. I could see that. But it certainly feels like he's on his way out of the Judgment Day, doesn't it? I'm getting that sort of vibe with him. There's lots of having to settle things down backstage. There's lots of microaggressions and frustrations, and they're seemingly on the same page at the moment, but I think eventually it is going to split. For me personally, I would have him keep that briefcase till next year. I think there's going to be lots of opportunity for him to cash it in next year. And to be honest, it might be cleaner if he leaves the Judgment Day and still has the briefcase, rather than having the briefcase and also being at odds with the judge. There's just a lot going on there. So it'll be interesting to know what Triple H wants to do. I definitely think he's going to try and cash it in because it'll provide an exciting moment, but I don't know that he succeeds. Anne, shout out to you, my friends. Appreciate the support. Anne Bernadette. Lovely name. Shout out to you, my friends. You should have put a message in. I would have read it, but I'll keep an eye out for you anyway. WrestleBuzz said, Days, I don't know if it'll be the announcement, okay, but could Tony run Blood and Guts match the Dynamite before or the Collision the same day as Survivor Series? Have we not had one this year? Have we not had one? I mean, could they? Yeah. I mean, even if we have had one, they could do another. It would be trolling, but I don't think it would be a good idea. Because for me personally, if they were to do something like that, I know why they're doing it. They're doing it, obviously, as a shot at WWE. And that would just sort of suggest to me that AEW are too busy looking at what the other side are doing rather than worrying about themselves. I've said before, we learned during the Attitude Era that if you want to kind of succeed, the best way of that happening is you really nailing down what you're doing. Really focus on yourself. Really focus on the product that you're putting out. So if it's going to be a case that AEW need a blood and guts, then okay, work towards a blood and guts. No problem whatsoever. If you're only doing it to fire shots at WWE and maybe take away like the impact of war games for them, you are too focused on what the other side are doing. You're not necessarily booking to your strengths. You're booking to weaken the opposition, which is not, it's not the right way to go about it. The better way to go about it is to work on your roster, tell the stories you want to tell, and if you need a blood and guts, then do a blood and guts. I mean, that would be, that would split opinion. You know, obviously a lot of people would say that was petty. Some people would be like, go stick it to them, Tony. You know, this is where that tribalism is obviously prevalent. And I think you'd have people in the middle just like, you know, okay, what will be, will be. Yeah, if we're getting blood and guts, lovely. And so I think the people in the middle will just be like, not really that bothered. But for me, if I was running it, I would not do that. I would not do blood and guts at that time, unless my story is heading towards me needing it at that time, and it just happens to be a coincidence, which would be a strange coincidence. But I think it's so much better to focus on your roster, your stories, and maximize that rather than trying to get some cheap little digs in, you know. But could they do it, WrestleBuzz? They could. I would much rather the announcement be about the streaming stuff, though. Aaron, shout out to you, my friends. I hope you are well. Hope you've had a good Halloween. Aaron said, I love the way everyone wants to get the title from MJF. And when MJF got one friend, everyone wants to protect him for the wrong reasons. It's a great story. Hang on. When MJF got one friend, Adam Cole, everyone wants to protect him for the wrong reasons. What do you mean? I don't know. What do you mean by that last bit? I don't feel like I'm on the same page. So you love how everyone wants to get the title from MJF. And when MJF get one friend, which I think is Adam Cole, they want to protect him for the wrong reasons. It's a great story. Tell me, help me out. It's not clicking. Help me out with that one. What do you mean by the second part? Everyone wants to protect him for the wrong reasons. I'm going to be looking. Don't you dare do one. Because Sean said, do you think Judgment Day is going to help Drew McIntyre defeat Seth for the World Heavyweight Championship? Drew joins Judgment Day, leading to Damian Priest getting jealous of Drew. I hope not. I don't have any interest in Drew joining Judgment Day. I think that Drew joining Judgment Day would overshadow Rhea, who is kind of emerging as the leader of that group. I think that Drew would definitely be the leader, and he certainly ain't going to fall in line with Rhea being the leader or whatever. Drew in a faction, I just don't feel like I need it, to be honest. I mean, if it was going to be a case that there was an arrangement, let's say Drew doesn't actually join, but there's just an agreement between Drew and the Judgment Day, like they've got his back. He'll help them out when they need some support, and as such, they'll help him out when he needs some support. If there's that sort of arrangement, I could be down with that. But if it's going to be a case of Drew being a full signed-up member, I don't know, like him being backstage with the Judgment Day and kind of wearing attire like all black and coming out with Rhea, it's just a hard thing to picture for me. It doesn't. Sometimes when you, like, you know, people are like, oh, could you imagine Odyssey Jones in the New Day? You go, yeah, I could actually. Yeah, I could picture that. Could you imagine Nikki Cross joining the Funhouse? You go, yeah, I could. Yeah, I can see that. But then if I think, could I imagine Drew McIntyre joining Judgment Day? My first reaction isn't like, yeah, I can picture that. My first reaction is, no, I can't. That doesn't quite work for me. And I think the biggest reason is because Drew would have to lead that group. He's a leader. He's a former world champion. He's someone that's stood on his own. You know, he goes toe to toe with like Sheamus, and you know, he's a very proud, very strong, doesn't take a back step kind of a guy. And so he would surely have to be the leader. But then what do you do with Rhea? I mean, Dominic's going to fall in line. Finn, unfortunately, is going to fall in line. I think we all thought Finn would be the leader of that group, and it would be a great way of having him front and center. But he's just like stood at the side, isn't he? He's just kind of pushed to the sidelines a little bit. I feel a bit sorry for Finn in all of this, because Finn's just a part of a wheel he's just a cog in a machine, isn't he? That's all he is. I think this has worked really well for Rhea. I think it's worked really well for Dominic. I think it's worked really well for Damian. I don't know that it's worked really well for Finn. I don't know that Finn has massively benefited by being in the Judgment Day, because I think there was loads of things you could have done with Finn. And I think that, you know, he is just bickering and arguing and having to play second fiddle to Rhea. And, you know, he's not really leading the group. He's a leader. It's Finn Balor. He was the leader of Bullet Club. He created Bullet Club. And yet he can't even lead Judgment Day. So for me, Drew coming in, I mean, that would just be even worse news for Finn. It would surely mean that he would have to play second fiddle to Rhea. We seem to be all in on Rhea. I don't know that I could see Rhea taking orders from Drew. So, yeah, for me, I think it would just be a bit clunky, that. It just doesn't feel like it... Maybe people think I'm wrong, but to me, it just doesn't feel like it just naturally clicks, and it's like, yeah, I can see it. But could they work together? They could do. Oh, Aaron said, I meant that everyone wants to protect him so that they can get a title shot. Okay. I did see that with Samoa Joe. I mean, I don't watch Collision. I don't watch Rampage, so I don't know if it showed itself elsewhere. But I did see it with Samoa Joe. I'm expecting the 3 people to be with him tonight to probably be the Acclaimed. But maybe there's something in like Samoa Joe and, I don't know, Kenny Omega and someone else like joining up, and them all being promised a title shot if they join him. Renee said that MJF doesn't have many friends, so he might have to break out money to try and bribe them. But perhaps like what you're saying could be true, where he doesn't break out money, he breaks out title shot opportunities in the future, and he gets 3 friends that way. In my mind, it was just going to be the Acclaimed, but we'll find out. Jeremy said Clinton Eastwood will be making an AEW debut, just like Ric Flair, who I already predicted by me last week on here, said Jeremy. C said, WWE is a bad product. It is the same show every week. How many times can you have the same ending? Well, I would argue that WWE is not a bad product. I would argue that Raw is stale. I think that the whole Judgment Day, Cody Rhodes, Sami Zayn, all this kind of stuff, it's gone on way too long. I do think we're at the point now, though, where they are trapped and locked in as we're heading to Survivor Series. And to be honest, this is where Survivor Series becomes a problem. This is where any of those types of shows become a problem, because if that's the case, if that's why we are living this Judgment Day, Groundhog Day, it does feel that way. We might as well rename that film Judgment Day, because it is just the same thing again and again and again. So if it is like this Groundhog Day with Judgment Day, and we're only doing it because we're trying to get to Survivor Series, where we're going to do Judgment Day against Cody and Sammy and Jay, and that's why we just cannot get out of this loop, then you know, it sucks, doesn't it? Sucks. This is where it's a problem. We could be doing that kind of a War Games match at Crown Jewel. We could be doing it at Crown Jewel. We could be wrapping it up at Crown Jewel, and then we could do something different at Survivor Series. But it is just so stretched out. It's been months and months and months, and you're not wrong. It's you know, it's stale, and to be honest, it's showing in the ratings as well. I do wonder if part of it is WWE know that it's this time of year, like the ratings are a struggle because of the startup of football and World Series and NBA coming back. Like, this is a horrible time. And it might be that they've tried tons of stuff in the past, but it's just known that, you know, October, November, December, these 3 months, if wrestling was going to have an off season, this would probably be it. It'd probably be it. This would be it. This kind of period now where all these other sports start, and you're building up to the holidays, and you've got like people meeting up with family, going out shopping, all this sort of stuff. If there was to be an off season, it would probably be October, November, December. And I wonder if that's part of it as well. Like, you know, you don't want to burn through anything too juicy at this time of year because of the fact that you're just not going to have viewers and people aren't going to necessarily tune in for it. So it means that we are just on this flipping repeat loop, and we are building towards Survivor Series. And is it stretched out? Yeah. And is it stale? Yeah. But are people still tuning in for it? Well, 1.4 million did, which, considering how stale it's been for a while now, that's a mini miracle, isn't it? It's a mini miracle. But, yeah, like you, I'm desperate for, I would say, all of wrestling to pick itself up. I feel like all of wrestling in 2023 has just gone on this gradual decline. If you think about where we were at the start of the year, like this was the first full year of Triple H being in charge. And, you know, it was like the first, I don't think it was the first full year out of the pandemic. I think that was 2022. This was meant to be the first full year where we could really make some steps forwards. And actually, I would say the Bloodline story has sort of bobbed along. It hasn't been quite as compelling as it was last year. I don't think there's been anything else that's kind of come along that's been quite as good. Turning our attention to AEW, we know that they've only hit 1 million a couple of times this year. It hasn't felt like this year has been a vintage year for them. I think a lot of people, even AEW fans, like talk of something being lost, and it's probably the fact that like CM Punk wasn't around, and then when he did come back, you know, we had all this drama. And I would also say they've hurt themselves by having Collision, which means that they've got another show, which is good, but they need big matches for that show. You know, tonight we should be watching MJF against Kenny Omega. We could have been building towards that rather than doing it on Saturday when, 400 and some thousand watched, was it? 500,000 watched, whatever it was. Not a massive number. But they did it on, and they're doing it repeatedly, giving away big matches on that Saturday show that's got a limited audience, which is taking away from Dynamite. Before, everything used to be on Dynamite. You just went Wednesday to Wednesday, didn't you? Whereas now, we're having to put some big things on Rampage because the numbers there haven't been great. Certainly having to put big things on Collision. And so I think AEW have ended up in a situation now where it's hard for them to get Dynamite to 1 million because it's a harder environment they find themselves in. They can't put everything into Dynamite like they could last year. Now it's all split and spread, and that's making it harder. So I think this year has been a bit of a challenge. I don't think it's been a disaster. I just think that it maybe, for me personally, hasn't lived up to expectation. I think that there have been some high spots, and you would probably say WWE's premium live events, but even they've run out of, and they've spluttered. Like, even WWE's premium live events, which I think have had a fantastic run, I think probably ran out of steam at SummerSlam. And then the offerings we've had since then have been mixed at best. And there's high hopes for Crown Jewel. I mean, I'm really hoping that Crown Jewel's going to give us something to get our teeth into, but we'll see. We'll see. It could be a fantastic show, and hopefully it will be a fantastic show. But we are coming off the back of some not very good premium live events. And from an AEW perspective, they've got a few things that are going in their favor. But they are still quite a distance away, aren't they, from hitting that like million mark? But it's harder now. It's harder than it was last year. So we'll see what they do tonight. We'll see what Tony's announcement is, and then of course we're back on Friday for a taped SmackDown. But then we're back on Saturday for Crown Jewel. If anyone hasn't seen the 1994 movie The Crow, you see what Sting pro wrestling character is about, said Elizabeth. Dort Knight said NXT is the most overrated show. Discuss. Jeremy said there's a buttload of wrestling news. William said they cannot put into Dynamite what Dynamite put into itself when Dynamite puts it in. Let's go. A lot of wrestling news, did you say? Let's have a look at... So, Dynamite Live results. Haven't had that. New Year's Dash, Crown Jewel, new Dynamite segment. What's all this? What's going on? Match and Performers of the Week. The history of... Oh, is this... The new issue of The Observer covers the following. Match and Performers of the Week. The history of UFC and WWE together. How Vince is responsible for UFC taking off and why. Dirty tricks that McMahon tried to play on UFC and blasting it when it got popular. Dana White talks about his prior and current changes in relationship with Vince. How Vince, all about WWE and UFC. Business notes on what's expected to be a record-setting show. Crown Jewel Full Gear matches announced. WWE goes with more international major shows. Rundown of Impact change into TNA. Hall of Fame ceremony for UFC. Blah, blah, blah. Loads. There's loads in the latest issue, but it does seem very centered around WWE and UFC. NXT ratings down. We spoke about that. Sami Callihan said a Ronda Rousey indie booking fell into his lap. Shawn Michaels invites Joel Embiid to NXT. Amazing. Bryan Danielson undergoes surgery out until later this year. Tag match is going to headline Impact. Matt Riddle against Rob Van Dam is set for big time wrestling. So Matt Riddle against RVD. It's been announced. GG, Zachary Wentz announce engagement. New Japan Super Cup. Okay. Well, there ain't really anything too juicy on the Wrestling Observer homepage. What have we got on Fightful? Fightful have got best Halloween costumes. Best Halloween costumes from the worlds of wrestling. Can I view these? We can have a look at these whilst we're just 10 minutes away from the show starting. This is on Fightful. These are the best Halloween costumes. Can I make them a bit bigger? I always have to change the size of this. There we go. So there's Nick Wayne. He is dressed as Chucky. Then we've got Swerve. Is that good? That doesn't look very good to me. But I don't know. Perhaps people are really into it. So Swerve as X-Men. Then we've got Aisha Slamovich dressed as some woman off Dr. Phil. Cool. Kip Sabian and Penelope Ford. That's pretty good. I like the fact that they've got like a background and everything. I'm guessing they went to some sort of haunted house for that. I can't imagine that's their actual house unless they've gone proper OTT. That's good. Is that actually her? That doesn't even look like her, does it? The original. That doesn't even look like her. Is that actually her? I am genuinely really impressed with that, if that is Liv Morgan. It does look like her in the face, in all fairness, but... Wow, okay. Yeah, fair play. That's the best one I've seen so far. That's the best one I've seen so far. Jonathan Gresham said, my wife is going trick or treating, but what is she? Skeleton? Don't know. Weird? Don't know. Is that a good one? Okay. Then we've got Dragon Lee as well, he's got a few here, isn't he? That's not bad. He's putting the work in. God bless him. Cruel. Father Cruel is having fun on this most sacred day. Ryan Clancy as Spider-Man. Who's Ryan Clancy? Then we've got Cody. Oh, there's Cody. Well, I think it's Cody. Brandy. What are they, though? And that must be, like, their kids. Well, I don't know their name. What is this? I don't know what this is meant to be. Is it a kid show or something? Is this like a kid show? Don't know. That's good. Willow looks good. There's the twins. That's good. Dan Wilson. I mean, it's scary. Chad's is good. That looks good. I still think Liv's my favorite, but that does look good for Chad. Danhausen is a Barbie. That's good. That's pretty fun, isn't it? That's pretty fun. He's gone all out on that. Yeah, that might be the best one so far. I think that Liv's is the most shocking in the sense of like how close it was, but this Danhausen one looks really fun. Big Bronson had to be what? Okay, I just thought he'd gone outside in a coat, but apparently he is Silent Bob. You know, there's a minimal work that's been put into that, but at least there's some sort of work that's been put into it. And I think, is that it? I think that's it. That's it. Well, not the most impressive of costumes, unfortunately. But a couple there, which I thought were pretty fun. I hate this time of year, said Dork Knight. When you go back to work and people say Halloween is over, you can take the mask off. Good point. But Tony Khan is dressed up as Vince McMahon. Let's have a look, see if that fixes it. Okay. Yeah, we could have a few problems with lag. There's a big storm that's coming to the UK. They keep banging on about it. But thankfully, I don't think it's arrived yet. Did Tony do one? He has dressed up as Orange Cassidy before, hasn't he? 14 minutes. They've dropped the graphic. So we've got the matches that are going to be on the show tonight. Let's have a look and see if did Tony do one or did he not do one this year? Thank you, Jaguar fans. No, doesn't look like he did one this year. He did dress up previous as Orange Cassidy. I remember that. But no. Days, I think Tony's big announcement is signing Sami Callihan. Let's go. Right, I've got the graphic. I think it might have been a week, you know, since we did our last little video, and it might have been Ric Flair last week. It's been a week since the Nature Boy. And this is what we've got tonight. We have already spoke about it, but we are just 5 minutes away from the show, so makes sense to do another little run through. So here you can see that we got Orange Cassidy against Claudio for the AEW International Championship. We've got Hikaru Shida taking on Willow Nightingale. That's for the AEW Women's Championship. We've got Bullet Club Gold against MJF and 3 partners of his choosing. We've got Hangman Adam Page and the Young Bucks taking on Brian Cage and the Gates of Agony. That is for the AEW World 6-Man Tag Team Championship. We've got Daddy Magic and Cool Hand Ang taking on Chris Jericho and Kenny Omega. And then we're also going to be hearing from Adam Copeland. And right in the middle, and I don't know why they've not included a picture of him giving a thumbs up. Sadly, they haven't. Tony Khan has an important announcement. That's interesting, isn't it? It's an important announcement. Tony's tweet. Let's take that away. Says, you won't want to miss this great show. Okay, I've got to show you. I love the way he types out his messages. We were talking about this yesterday. He loves a good capital letter, does Tony, doesn't he? He loves a good cap. I don't know if his caps thing's broken, but you won't want to miss the great show tonight. We've got some great wrestling. Plus, I have a huge announcement tonight. And some very exciting things happening this evening on AEW. Don't miss it tonight. Next on TBS. How many tonights are in there? We got the very first word is a tonight. So 1, 2, 3, 4. We got 4 tonights in just this little amount of text here. Look at that. That little 4 tonights. Tonight. I love this guy. I flipping love this guy. Absolutely brilliant. Some of the repetition of words in such a short tweet. We were mesmerized by it yesterday, and I'm mesmerized again. He only dropped this 14 minutes ago, and he continues to prove the same point. Tonight. It's on the graphic as being an important announcement, but here, for example, it says important, right? But when you actually go to his tweet, he calls it a huge announcement. So it's huge and it's important. It's a huge, important announcement. Has he got a tweet about it? I think he tweeted. That's what we were looking at, wasn't it? Yeah, this one. Is this where he repeats the word tomorrow quite a few times? So for many of us in brackets, tomorrow is the start of the holiday season. I'll have an important announcement for AEW fans worldwide. Now, this is interesting because James made this point earlier. If it is the streaming thing and they're going to HBO Max, that doesn't affect us, or at least I'm not aware that it affects us. So is this an important announcement for AEW fans worldwide? Or could it just be that it's going to be an announcement for people in the US? We ain't got long to find out. We're going to find out. The show starts in a minute. Gerald said, huge announcement. Mitchell sent a super chat. Thank you, my friend. Let's get to these super chats. Mitchell said, did you see Cornette's response to being invited to AEW? If not, check it out. It's hilarious. We saw it. Yep, we checked it yesterday, buds. So he was, typical Jim Cornette fashion, said thank you for the invite because they're in Louisville. Thank you for the invite. I couldn't find anyone else that was going, though, so we could take advantage of the 2-for-1 ticket offer. And he was trending as a result, wasn't he? He's a cheeky little rascal, he is. He's still trending, actually. Don't know if it's still as a result of that message or if it's something else. But he is still trending. Right. 7 seconds, 5 seconds. I'm not interested in any more announcements, says Mrs. Armour. The more he hypes up the announcement, the less I care, said James. Well, let's find out. It might be big and it might be important. It needs to be big. Well, what is it? It needs to be big, important, and it needs to affect everyone around the world. I have an important announcement for AEW fans worldwide. Listen, he can deliver on that. If it's going to be a new a show, he can deliver on it. It's not impossible. But that is, I think, the expectation people are coming into it with in regards to, and then we'll see if it delivers. Right, they're showing footage from MJF and Kenny from Collision. Don Callis making his way down. MJF picking up the win. Kenny shaking MJF's hand. Okay, here's Renee. Here's MJF. Okay, so MJF and Renee backstage. You do need to find 3 partners. And you've got a lot of enemies. Thank you for shoving all that in my face. He's got a list. So he's going over to Adam Cole. MJF is looking for some advice. Why does Adam Cole care if MJF is the longest reigning champion? He says, you know, one thing that does make me, I'm hanging in there, but one thing that does make me happy is that you are the longest reigning champion. You're the best champion we've ever had. MJF says, I'm going to defend titles at the pay-per-view. Here's Roderick and the Kingdom. What's the giraffe about? Roderick said, are we still pretending that he's obviously not the devil? Adam Cole's cut the call off. There's that devil again. And that's it. Okay, well, he needs to find 3 partners. Who is everyone's favourite? Adam, Ashley, or Andrew, says Dort Knight. Cole was on Twitch playing Spider-Man 2 an hour ago, said Jeremy. Mitchell said, I can't stand Roderick. C said, Jim Cornette is the biggest grump in the world. Does anyone like that man? He was a no one when he was a manager, and to me, he represents all the miserable people in the world. Okay, Justin Roberts in the ring. Okay, they're starting with Orange Cassidy. It's going to be Orange Cassidy defending his championship. OC against Claudio. They've started doing that now, haven't they? The first thing you see, I think they did it last week as well, is like a backstage promo thing. It's a little backstage promo. He's won 34 of his past 35 singles matches. His 2023 record is 25-1. Why do the crowds be as loud as they were in the late 90s? Why don't the crowds be as loud as they were in the late 90s? Well, they have been at times in AEW. I think that's sort of settled down now. I think part of the problem is that we have, for AEW, gone around so many times that we've gone back to places that we've been a few times. I mean, that excitement when like AEW was coming out of the pandemic, kind of going to places like, I remember watching AEW and us having conversations saying, I wish that WWE crowds were as hot as this. They do have that we're all in this together kind of mentality with AEW. That I don't know that exists with WWE. I think that AEW do a better job of making their audience feel really a part of the show. Just through different like ways. But yeah, I would agree that that sort of settled down a little bit, but I think part of that might be because we're kind of going back to places that we've been to before. And probably not even that long ago. I don't know when they were last at Louisville, but we know they've certainly gone to Chicago a few times. I think it could be Sting and Flair that are partners, said Daz. There's no crowds in the AEW builds in. It's half full, said Travis. Yeah, we are seeing that as well, aren't we? We are seeing... but WWE have definitely had the same as well. You know, there's definitely been pictures of Raws and Smack. It's a dangerous game to be pointing at, like, half crowds in stadiums or arenas, for AEW, because I think the same can be true of Raw and SmackDown. I think that SmackDown at the moment is in a good place. I think, like, Triple H and whatever. I'd be interested to see some pictures of Raw, though. Are we like, Raw is... It feels stale, doesn't it? Are we really saying that Raw is packing out arenas? Let's have a look at WrestleTix and see what they're saying. Not that it necessarily matters, but it's just interesting to know, isn't it? Is this a wrestling problem, or is this an AEW problem? SmackDown, for example. SmackDown. Oh, that's on December 15th. We've still got a long way to go for that. November 17th, got a long way to go for that. December 30th, long way to go for that. November 25th, long way to go for that. November 13th. I want older ones. I don't want ones in the future. Dynamite, November 1st. That's this one. Current setup is 4,800. They had sold 3,200. So that was a couple of days ago, so it might have got better than that, but 4,860, and they've done 3,282, and that was a couple of days ago. Oh, that's a really interesting graphic. Got a graphic here from WrestleTix that shows all of the attendances for Dynamite this year, and it says where they've been as well. So a couple of shows in California, a couple of shows in Texas. You can see along the bottom, like, all the places that we've been to. When was the last time they were in Louisville? Not this year. Not this year. I don't know if they've been here for Collision or whatever, but not this year. So 3,195, 11,260. That Flush in New York, was that? I'm guessing that was Grand Slam. Their average seems to be this green line, which is around about the 5,000 mark. So that's what it's looking for Dynamite. It'd be really good if they did that graphic as well for SmackDown, wouldn't it? Oh, we've got one for Raw. We've got a Raw average graphic. Oh, man, this is good. WrestleTix doing God's work, man. Orange Cassidy has hurled Claudio into... Here we go. Their average is 9,000. Yeah, that is healthier, isn't it? That's Dynamite. 3, 4, average of 5. Raw. Their last one was 7. They've had a few 7s and 8s that they've been much higher. Their average is just 9 something. You can see it's just below that 10. So that is healthier. Still, though, look at this. There's a 6,000 there, a 6,000, 6,000, 7,000. Like, you put that in an arena, you're going to see plenty of empty seats still. You know, what we're not seeing here is consistently 15,000. A lot of these spaces can hold 15,000, and we're not seeing that here. So I think even with Raw, you're going to have empty sections, top bits that aren't open. Even WWE are not feeling like, you know, things aren't bubbling at the moment in wrestling. We ain't smashing out full houses week after week after week. Here's a picture of Hamburg, which was recent WWE. So you can see like the top section. And this person seems to be sat in the top section. Look at the rows in front of this person. So it seems like this whole top section. This was Hamburg, and it was a live show. So it's not Raw or anything. But you can see, like, wrestling's unfortunately not selling out everywhere. Claudio has got Orange Cassidy up. But that's really, really interesting. If that's something that interests you, go to WrestleTix. If you go to WrestleTix on their Twitter account, you can get access to all that information. We are at picture-in-picture. Claudio is in control. I could see Hook leaving AEW once his contract is up. He hasn't been pushed for any titles that isn't the FTW, says A. Jobson. 420 said Tony's announcement is that next year AEW will do monthly pay-per-views. Roddy said there's no one in the ring, so that's a bad assessment, methinks. What, for the Hamburg one? This one? I mean, I would be surprised if all these people have took their seats at the bottom and for some reason this top section was in the process of filling up. I mean, I don't know at what point that is, but even if you don't like the look of that number, I don't think that we can excuse the fact that there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. There are 12 Raws this year that have been below 8,000 in attendance. That's what I'm saying. I'm like, just if you want to throw stones at AEW, that's fine. I don't care. It doesn't bother me in the slightest. But I think the idea that WWE aren't having empty segments as well it's not true. I'd much rather deal in truths, you know? I'd much rather have conversations that are fact-based. And the facts here, according to this, is that on Raw, you can see for yourselves, there are, however many I just said, that are below 8,000. And there's a few here as well where they're below 7,000. So that has to mean that if they're in arenas, and you know the size of arenas that WWE run, they don't go to little tiny places. They go for the biggest arena in town. It's going to be like a 15,000 space. Even if it's a 10,000 space, if you're getting less than 7,000 people in, you've got 3,000 seats that are empty. So, you know, but unfortunately, I wish it was not that way. I wish that wrestling was attracting tons and tons of people, but wrestling in general just it's a bit so-so at the moment. Some good numbers for SmackDown, but the numbers for Raw are all-time lows. So as much as we can celebrate the numbers for SmackDown, the numbers for Raw are nowhere near as encouraging, you know? Right, I think we're back to the action now for AEW. Jono said, prediction, Dynamite could move to TNT and move on a Monday. God, could you imagine if that's the announcement? That they're going to move to Mondays. HBO Max could stream Turner Sports. With a Max subscription, you can get premium AEW shows. TBS gets Collision on Thursdays. Dark Angel said there's 20 times they're over 10,000. Yeah. But even that's going to have empty segments if you're in a 15,000 arena, isn't it? How many times are they selling out, but how many? Tell me. How many times they hit in 15,000? Because O2 Arena can hold 20,000 plus. And I believe that Barclays can as well, and quite a few other spaces. So how many times are they hitting 15,000, for example? There's going to be empty segments. My point is proven. There are going to be empty segments at a WWE show and at an AEW show. Maybe you'll get more at an AEW show, but they have started to run smaller venues. So I think they're trying to address the amount of empty space that they have. But you're going to have empty segments at both WWE and at AEW. My point remains, if you want to be someone that wants to throw that stone, you can do it. But just be really careful, because if you start engaging in that, people will soon throw pictures back at you that have got WWE segments with completely, like, you know, empty segments for Raw, for SmackDown. Because if you're going to run big arenas and you're not once going to hit 15,000 all year for Raw, you're going to have empty segments, aren't you? If you're hitting 10,000 sales and you're in a 15,000 arena, that's 5,000 empty seats. That's a third. That's 1 in 3. 1 in 3 seat. 15,000 arena. You've sold 10,000 tickets. 1 in 3 empty seats. It's just a dangerous game to play. That's all. Don't get caught out by it. It's I'm helping people. This is a public service announcement. Here's Claudio doing the swing. Swinging Orange Cassidy around. How long are we into this? Already 20 minutes in we are. Stepping through. I mean, I don't expect Claudio to win this. I don't feel massively engaged in the match. It's got a sharpshooter applied at the moment, Claudio. Orange Cassidy trying to get over to the ropes. It's getting dragged back into the center. And again, Orange Cassidy in a bit of trouble, looking like he's going to tap. Few people in the crowd making a bit of noise, but I don't think people are buying that he's going to tap here. He rolls underneath, throws in a couple of shots. Claudio steps through again as Orange Cassidy tries to get over to the ropes. Crossface by Claudio. I don't see the crowd, like, losing it. I don't see the crowd. I mean, there are people that are on their feet that are watching. But I do question as to whether to start the show with, like, an Orange Cassidy match again is the right way forward. I know Tony loves him. And there must be something in the numbers that say this is a hot way to start the show. But it doesn't strike me as the right thing to do. But shoulder up there by Orange Cassidy. Again, we do have some people standing. John Oates said, if you look at the average ratings on TBS against TNT, TNT had the biggest wrestling audience, with Max and Turner having a streaming deal. AEW would massively benefit. Travis said, this match has gone too long. Cesaro should have won in about 3 minutes. Gerald said, the crowd is shockingly quiet. Still to come, the announcement. They're making a little bit of noise now. But Claudio just picking up Orange Cassidy, who's lifeless. Hoists him up, picks him up. Orange Cassidy trying to roll up Claudio. He went for a slumdog, but couldn't. Now he's got a sleeper applied there, Claudio, and he's putting Orange Cassidy to sleep. It's going bright red at the moment, Orange Cassidy. Orange Cassidy in the middle of the ring. Putting his hands in his pockets. Going over to the corner. Flipping over. Looking for the pin. Kick out by Claudio. Big orange punch by Orange Cassidy. It's powering up Claudio. Plants him down as Claudio rolls to the outside. Wrestler Andy said, what are the actual odds on Flair having a match? Don't know. I don't know if there is such odds. I mean, he's not retired. I think there's very good odds on him having another match. Whether AEW will allow it to be with them, I don't know. I mean, how would he get cleared? How would he be cleared? I genuinely don't know. Claudio trying to get over to the ring, but he's being counted out. We got up to 8. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of people that seem to think it could lead to a tag match of Ric Flair and Sting working together. Maybe if it's going to be a case that Ric Flair does really next to nothing, AEW might consider it, but I can't see them doing a one-on-one match. Can't see them clearing a... How old is he? With the health trouble he's had. Kicks by... He's 74. AEW going to clear a 74-year-old man with previous health problems to have a match. I mean, it just so happens that person is regarded as maybe the best professional wrestler, but... Orange against the ropes, round the houses. He's got Orange. Ooh, into a DDT. 1, 2. Kick out by Claudio, and the crowd are making more noise now. Crowd are into this. Big Time said it's smart that the camera angle makes it look like a full arena, but whenever the camera aims to the sides, it's pitch black. Jeremy said those punches need to stop. They don't hurt anyone. Yeah, well, the numbers. I mean, the other thing as well is that this arena is going to hold more than 5,000. It's set up for 5,000, but it's probably going to hold more than 5,000. So, I mean, yeah, they are going to have large segments that are roped off. And even of that 5,000, there was still over 1,000 tickets available. Orange Cassidy gets the win. The cheers are quiet, says Big Time. NH said AEW having to hide how empty the arena is really handcuffs their ability to film the show with angles they should be getting. They miss so many shots, says NH. So Orange Cassidy picks up the victory. Someone coming out? Someone's making their way down. Is this Moxley? It is Moxley. Moxley coming through the crowds. There's a sign in the crowd that says Jim Cornette is all elite. Orange Cassidy gets into the ring. He gets dealt with by Moxley. Moxley takes him down. Claudio didn't even turn around. Kicks coming in there by John Moxley. He's unloading on Orange Cassidy. So, yeah, he is throwing in these shots. Claudio is just watching. Is he going to jump in and help or something? Is he going to... No, he's not doing anything at the moment. John Moxley unloading on Orange Cassidy. Security guy goes down. Claudio goes after the other security guy. Looks to hurl him to the outsides. Moxley throwing in some big shots. And again... Claudio picks up Moxley and drags him off Orange Cassidy, gives him a pat to say, like, you've done enough. The title is kicked out the ring. Where's Best Friends? Why did they not come to Orange Cassidy's aid? Moxley unloading on Orange Cassidy. Claudio jumps out the ring as well. That was awkward, said Gerald. Food is great. Yeah, someone does have a food is great sign. Someone tell Mox Halloween is over. He's biting faces like a cannibal. Okay, so MJF knocks on Kenny Omega's door. Door opens. Jericho. MJF asks if Kenny's in there. Door is slammed in his face. Is that Wardlow? You took everything from me? I'm going to take everything from you when you least expect it. It's like a prison shower scene, wasn't it, there for a moment? Wardlow grabbing MJF and driving him up against the wall. Broke his clipboard. There's the Acclaimed. MJF walks off. He's not interested. Okay. In an interview, Sting said AEW reminds him of WCW, and I don't think that's a good thing, says James. Esteban said the 2022 SummerSlam at Nashville NFL Stadium was only full on one side, according to a shot. How is the first 30 minutes, said Serious Gaming. Bit dull. I wasn't really into the Claudio Orange Cassidy match. I think it heated up a little bit towards the end, but it was... I just didn't expect Orange Cassidy to lose that match. Didn't expect him to lose. And so it was what it was. I feel like we've killed half an hour of the show. And I don't really think that we gained much from it, to be honest. So, not great for me, but some people out there might have loved the match and really enjoyed it and been looking forward to it. TSN's AEW feed sucks tonight, said Jim. Wardlow made Maxwell fear for his life. Claimed a legit funny, said James. Announcement is that The Undertaker is hired and he's going to give AEW a proper burial. Jeremy said, I'm confused by the Claudio thing. Claimed are not MJF's partners, said Richard. Waiting for Max and Max connection. Courtney said, what the hell just happened? What is Claudio doing? The bro is clueless, said Fids. Botched eye surgery said, do you prefer a WWE ring or an AEW ring? For me, a WWE ring sounds so good. Plus, I like the old school ropes and not wire ropes. I don't really mind the difference between wire and old school ropes. I'm not really fussed about that. I mean, I think there's a little difference if you're a wrestler. But if you are a viewer, I don't mind. I don't think really one is better than the other, to be honest. I mean, I think with the wire ropes, they seem a bit more taut. They seem a bit more slick. Like, you can't see, like, the tape that's been wrapped around them. You can't see the outline of the rope. But then saying that, I've been brought up with old school ropes and, like, watched them my whole life, so... kind of have a soft spot for them, but I don't really have a preference. Sound? Is there a big difference in sound? I can't say I've noticed a big difference in how the rings have been mic'd up. For me, the biggest difference is going to be the LED screens, like the LED things around the ring posts and the LED things on the ring apron. That would be the biggest difference. And to be honest, I don't really have a preference on that either. So I think they're both fine. I think you've probably got more that you can do with the WWE ring because of those screens, though. And I don't even think we've really scratched the surface on that. Moxley cutting a promo backstage. It says Axiom, does it, on that thing in the background? Is that the big announcement? They've signed Axiom. Right now, I'm not doing too good, so maybe this isn't even about you, says Moxley. Perhaps it's about Renee. Okay. Moxley is... John Moxley, very fired up. Okay, whose house? It's going to be Swerve's house. Swerve making it... I can't remember what this match is. Oh, I don't want that. I don't want that. Did I get rid of the graphic? Oh, it's the 6-man. That's the one. Oh, I thought we were getting Swerve, and it's not Swerve. It's just the other ones that aren't Swerve. So it's Brian Cage and Gates of Agony taking on Hangman Adam Page and the Young Bucks. Right, 6-person tag match. Hangman and Bucks versus Gates of Agony and Brian Cage. Right. Not the Bucks. You showed him respect, sir. You blooded him and you tried to break his neck. What respect? Tony is going to use the announcement for a ratings boost, said CK. Okay, here are the elites. The Ring of Honor 6-man tag team champs. Hangman making his way down to the ring. Hangman needs to invest in a new security system, says the banner. Super thigh slap party, said Carlos. You got Swerve, said Gerald. Yeah, I did. I did get swerved, you're right. Right. There's a person in the crowd that's dressed as Danhausen. Their sign says, very evil. Ring of Honor 6-man tag team championships on the line. Shots coming in by Hangman. Jeremy said it's going to be a Ring of Honor TV deal. Wayward Son is a great tune, says James. I'm picking the booking committee for this one, said Travis. Okay, we are underway with the match. Hangman going against the ropes, holding on to the ropes, and the Bucks coming in, drop kick. One of the Gates of Agony to the outside. I don't know their names. I just know them as the Gates of Agony. Going over the top to the outside, we have the Bucks and Hangman doing splashes, crossbodies to the outside at the same time. Feels like that's a commercial spot. They're fist-bumping fans at ringside. The action continues. Was Hangman always in the Elite? I remember that there was a rivalry before. Yeah, no, he's not always been in. He was kind of with the Dark Order for a little bit. kind of in the dark or not, or in the Dark Order, not really in the Dark Order kind of situation. They said it, we just don't know, like, not all, says Wan. Wan, shout out to you. Okay, so the elites are in control. What else have we got coming up? Because I ain't really bothered by this either. Hikaru Shida against Willow might be fun. That's for the women's title. The Tony Khan announcement, that could be good. Adam Copeland, that could be all right. And I don't know. We'll have to see who MJF's partners are. I mean, I'm not really bothered about that, really. I think it'll be the Acclaimed. If it proves to be someone else, then that'll be interesting. But I sort of feel like he might spend the show trying to find someone to join him, and then he can't, and then it ends up being the Acclaimed, is kind of what I'm thinking. But I haven't seen any spoilers, if there are spoilers out there. I haven't seen anything. But yeah, this match continuing at the moment. NXT the last 8 weeks did 850, 824, 636, 857, 921, 798, 787. You would think that many weeks that habitual viewing, does it not sound ludicrous that people are just tuning in for Becky then leaving? Well, we have spoke about the fact that if you get people into the habit, will they just stick around? Is there a little bit in the fact that it was Halloween? Is there a little bit in the fact that it was something pretty exceptional? You know, people out trick-and-treating, parents have to take kids or look after kids. Like, could that have been a factor last night? What would it be, an actual Halloween? I don't think we can really read too much into it until we look at... Cause it's not a great number compared to what they've done. But let's have a look and see what they do next week and see what next week number looks like. Because, you know, we could sit and theorize about it. But then if next week comes back and it's a nice number, well, then it would put a bit more stock into the fact that it was Halloween and parents were taking kids out and, you know, all that kind of stuff, you know. Because I agree. I think if you get people into the habit of watching a show, they will just naturally get into the show. I do think that there is something to that. So for the number to be down in the 600s again, I would say let's wait until next week. Oh, there is a thing here. Oh, do we want to read this? Let's read it. So I don't know if this is a spoiler. This is AEW, WWE. This was 4 hours ago. I haven't seen it. AEW, WWE, SmackDown, USA Network, WBD, NBA, How the Dominoes Might Fall. Sounds good, doesn't it? 4 hours ago. It's been up for a while. With Tony Khan's important announcement, there's been plenty of speculation regarding a potential broadcast or streaming home for AEW. As of a few weeks ago, there hadn't been a deal reached between Warner Brothers Discovery and AEW for Max. But WWE and Universal did reach a deal for SmackDown fairly recently. So they're saying maybe that had a play on it. Fightful has learned that one deal may affect the other in certain ways. NBC Universal was eager to land SmackDown, which has been viewed as the top SmackDown show as far as viewership and being football-proof. However, sports might play a role in how the rest of the dominoes fall. WBD, Warner Brothers Discovery contacts spoke with Fightful and confirmed a rumor that we heard that they expect NBCU and USA Network to make a bid on the NBA programming rights, which have been a staple of TNT for years. That would likely affect the budget that exists for USA Universal getting Raw and NXT. NBA is expecting a big increase in their TV rights. So it looks like USA Network have got SmackDown and they're going for the NBA. So that's interesting. Swerve has just come out. Hangman's gone running after him. That means that the Bucks are on their own. They've got Brian Cage and the Gates of Agony in front of them. So Hangman has run off. So we've got a few more paragraphs here. This would also affect Warner Brother Discovery's budget. In the event that somehow they lose the NBA, AEW and Warner Brother Discovery, as of a few weeks ago, were unable to come to terms on a deal that we're told would include AEW's television rights, pay-per-view, and library. Those at Warner Brother Discovery stated that Khan has a particular value that he believes the library is worth. Warner Brothers Discovery sources that we spoke to said they're very happy with the AEW partnership and they are looking for it to continue. When we asked about viewership numbers that are often the talking point, one source noted that it isn't anything the company hadn't anticipated, especially going up against football in the fall. Well, there we go. That is very interesting, though, because if USA Network gets NBA, then it certainly seems like that could open up some money for TNT, and then it could mean that we do see some movement there. But as of a few weeks ago, there wasn't anything in place. So I don't know if that's going to relate to the announcements, but that is interesting. Right, Ring of Honor, six-man championships are with Brian Cage and the Gates of Agony. Hangman ran off. And that meant now that we've got the Young Bucks outnumbered. Matt Jackson is not best pleased. Backstage, we've got Swerve. We've got Hangman brawling away. These two brawling backstage. Security having to separate them. That match happened, I guess, said Gerald's. William said, I love women's wrestling because so much has not been done. There's stories that have not been told to death. Well, there we go. The Bucks no longer have those titles, and they are frustrated. Table is being flipped over. He's got a chair. Why is he hitting the ring post with a chair? Matt Jackson walloping the ring posts with a steel chair. AEW and WWE marks both suck ass, says Mrs. Armour. Tony Khan can't write women's wrestling. You need experience with women to do that. Oh. We hardly see that, said Wham. Right, we are at commercial break. JB said, EVP meltdown, the Bucks have gone wild. John said, can you catch me up on what just happened? I have just come back from Bible study. Bible study! John, shout out to you. I hope you're well. Hope Jesus is well. We have had a victory for Orange Cassidy. And he got beaten up by Moxley after. And then we've just had a win for the Gates of Agony. They are, and Brian Cage, they are now the six-man, six-person, six people tag champs, and lots of frustration there for the Young Bucks. Swerve distracting Hangman. Hangman ran to the back. They've been brawling. It meant the Bucks were on their own, and now we've got new champions. It's an AEW staple that John Moxley bleeds, and the Young Bucks are always clutching an appendage after the match, said Defcon Prime Experience and more. Dave's quick question. Are the Bucks twins, or is one of them older? I believe, there's a difference in age, isn't there, between them? But how big is that difference in age? Let's find out. There is a 4-year difference in age. So Matt is 38. Nick is 34. Really, Matt older? I would have said Nick was older, you know. Do you know they were trained by Marty Jannetty? That's probably where it started going wrong for them, to be honest. If you're going to be trained by someone, I don't know that Marty Jannetty, I don't know that you want any advice on any subject from Marty Jannetty. Their style on Wikipedia, and I'm not making this up, high-flying, acrobatic, comedy. Those are the 3 words that Wikipedia used to describe them. High-flying, acrobatic, comedy. Let's go. Their ring names are the Cucamonga Kids. Is that true? I thought that was just something that Cornette had come up with for them. They have actually been called the Cucamonga Kids. The Cucamonga Kids, the Jackson Brothers, Los Galineros, Max and Jeremy Buck, Matt and Nick Jackson, the Young Bucks, Generation Me. Those have been their previous names. Okay, we are back, and we've got MJF trying to find a friend. But he's writing on Darby Allin. Emo. Why have they made a sign? The Acclaimed have made a fan sign that says MJF pick us. Oh, here's Tony. Tony Schiavone. Is he going to bring out Tony Khan? Here we go. Come on. Come on, baby cakes. Adam Copeland. Oh, boring. Rubbish. I thought it was going to be someone good like Tony Khan. Why do I think it's going to be Roddy and the Kingdom as MJF partners, said James. Bowens is about to throw Max through a wall, said Gerald's. This entrance isn't the same with AEW, said Kevin. Where's the stupid announcement, said Carlos. Going to be made to wait. Gotta get them ratings. Keep people around. Food is great. Big reaction for him. I've waited 20 years to see Adam Copeland. Okay, Adam Copeland in the ring then with Tony Schiavone. Looks out at the fans. He didn't do it the other side, did he? A week ago, he was confronted by Sting and Darby Allin. Tony Schiavone, everyone. If you knew all the hats that this guy wore backstage, you would cheer even louder. Loves a good hat, Tony Schiavone. Commentators are saying he obviously slipped Adam a $100 bill. Tony chance. Come on. Sting and I have had a lot of the same injuries. I respect the hell out of that man. Okay, so we are just hearing from Adam Copeland at the moment. He's talking about how he respects Sting and he respects Darby Allin. I know you want answers, Tony. Am I going to team with Sting and Darby Allin? I'd imagine you are. Right, I think someone's making their way down. I'm not bragging, but you know what ball you put shapes into? Well, I need not say what I did with that ball. You know that ball that you put shapes into? You put your dung in it, didn't you? William, shout out to you. Big Time said, if WWE, why give USA the option to take the A show SmackDown, delivering $2 million, and then throw Raw NXT under the bus for NBA? It seems like poor business practice. Well, it might not be on the table, though, mightn't it? What USA might have looked at it and said, right, we can only take one show because we're going to use part of the budget for the NBA. Well, if we're going to take one show, we want the show that we think is football proof, is what I've just read. So they've gone for SmackDown. It might be that USA Network were willing to sacrifice Raw. I don't know that you can point the finger at WWE on that. It depends on who was interested in SmackDown, who's interested in Raw, what kind of package deals are being discussed. Without being in the room, it's too many moving parts. Right, here's Nick Wayne, Luchasaurus, and Christian. I don't think I need to remind you, Adam, or anyone else about your neck problems. I'm going to suggest that you back down from me right now, says Christian. Back down from me, otherwise I will snap your neck. I'll leave you in a wheelchair. Give him a bit of a preview. Christian said, I can see this isn't sinking in. Edge deals with Nick Wayne. Nick Wayne again. Nick Wayne's useless. Christian comes in. Edge just dealt, or Adam Copeland just dealt with Luchasaurus and Nick Wayne on his own. Luchasaurus slides in and he wallops Edge from behind. Imagine that on a man card. I lost my virginity to my grade school teacher. I lost mine to a pencil sharpener. Cutter off the top by Nick Wayne. Early start tomorrow. Maggie, shout out to you. People still watch that fake NBA stuff, said Roddy. I stopped watching after the Toronto Raptors won the championship because I support the Raptors, and it's never getting better than that. It's no need. NBA has been completed. Right, here is it's Sting. Sting lays out Nick Wayne. Nick Wayne goes down. Darby comes racing down. That elbow seemed to catch Nick Wayne quite sharp. Kicks coming in by Darby Allin. Christian unloading on Darby. McAvoy said, when WWE or AEW is on, what would be the most that tune into you? What would be the most that tune into you? What do you mean? What do you mean? How many people join us? Probably about the same for NXT and AEW. But more than double when it comes to SmackDown or Raw. We get much more viewers for those. It's on. Adam Copeland is going to be partnering with Sting and Darby. Taking on Nick Wayne, Luchasaurus, and Christian. When is full? I don't even know when Full Gear is. When is Full Gear? Eh? Full Gear, AEW. Let's have a little look, shall we? It is November 17th. November 17th at the Kia Forum, Los Angeles, California. Oh, the Kia Forum looks nice. Jay White against MJF for the AEW World Championship. Plus also MJF and someone taking on the Guns. Tony Khan, here we go. Oh my God. Here we go. Tony. Huge announcement. Here we go. He says it's been a great year. It ain't this, is it, surely? There'll be more. At the moment, it looks like it's just tickets are going on sale for next year's All In. That's the announcement. Is he insane? I don't. Let's see how I don't know. Yep. That's it. That's it. It's been a great year. We talks about AEW All in London and then announces that tickets are going on sale. To be honest, I zoned out. I don't even know what the announcement was. It was something to do with tickets going on sale. They might be on sale now. I don't give a flip. When we're thinking it could be about a streaming service, we're talking about like stuff along those lines. Big, huge, important announcement. That can go out in a press conference. That press release. That could, that could be a little graphic. guys, big, you know, important information. Don't miss this. Tickets like that. Do you know what I think? I think he's used that little bit of news, right? Because it is news, but it ain't big, huge, important, right? I think he's used that to boost his ratings on this week's show. That's what I think. That's what I think. I think he's played people to try and boost the ratings for Dynamite. That's what I think he's done. He has to know that that's not going to play well with casuals. If that flipping event hadn't been announced and that was the first time they were telling us they're going back to London, yeah, no problem. That's a big announcement, right? But we knew they were going back to London. So all they're telling us is that tickets for it are going to be on sale. Well, of course they are. They're going to be on sale at some point, aren't they? Big, huge, important announcement. You know that show that we've already told you about where the tickets are going on sale soon? Okay. And... oh, Jeremy said, I don't even want to look at Twitter. He's going to get eviscerated. Was you satisfied with Tony Khan's... I'm not even going to put huge, important announcement. I'm just going to put announcement. So if I put huge, important announcement, people will be like, oh, you... trying to sway opinion. No, but was you satisfied with Tony Khan's announcement? That's it. Yes or no? I mean, it's a bit late for me, but, you know. Okay, we've got Kenny making his way down. I mean, I don't even need to make a video, do I? What am I going to make a video on? Guys, the tickets for that show that's already been announced going to be available at some point. I didn't even listen. I don't even know what he said. He might. Do you know what? The announcement might actually have been really important. As soon as I realised it was about tickets for a show that's already been announced, I was zoned out. I was gone. Right, Jericho and Kenny Omega against Full Hand Daddy. What an announcement! Is that how he expects us to react, says Noah? Yes! Maybe we should. Maybe we should just react how he wants us to react, rather than how we actually react. Pre-sale signups available now. That's the announcement. Pre-sale signups are available now. Tony Khan's important announcement. All in 2024 tickets will be available on December 21st, but you can join the pre-sale now. Yes! Come on! Yeah! Tony! Wembley Stadium, December 1st. Oh, guys, do you want to see the picture? Let me download it. I've gone for high res. Yeah! 25th of August, 2024, Wembley Stadium. Tickets on sale. December 1st, pre-sale sign up. Go to ticketmaster.co.uk. This is for fans worldwide. Worldwide! If you're in China right now, go to ticketmaster.co.uk/AEW Wembley 2024. So good. So good. I don't think he built it up enough. I think he should have gone bigger. Tony Khan's important announcement is that you can sign up for tickets for All In before they go on sale. So good. And you know, I'm just reading some of the comments. People are loving it. This is amazing. It's the greatest news ever. What an announcement. Major announcement doesn't do it justice. I think we need to redefine the word important because this was massive. None of those that I've just said exist. I've made up every single one of those. Right. I voted yes. I think I was going to be the only one, but I guess I wasn't, said Hawkins Jr. Well, it's 22% to 78% at the moment. So, no, you're not alone. There are people out there that think that that is a perfectly acceptable announcement. Next week's announcement, we are a week closer to tickets being released for All In London 2024, said Bembo. I think the frustration for people is that that could have been a tweet. It could have been a little graphic on screen. I think if you're going to have Tony, like, make a huge, big, important announcement, like, I don't think it's wrong for people to be thinking streaming platform, the future home of Dynamite, what's going to happen with Collision, Rampage, is there going to be a new show? Is there going to be a brand new live event somewhere? When he spoke about, like, going to Europe and everything, I really thought he was going to announce another European show. That's what was going through my head. I really thought he was talking about going to the UK and going to Europe for the first time. We're going back next year. And in my mind, I'm like, yeah. So what are we doing? Are we going another European show? Have they, in my mind, what I was thinking was they've seen Battle in Berlin. They've heard the rumors of Paris. They're trying to, like, you know, get Europe as well. And so they're going to go, you know, melee in Madrid, right? Fist up in Florence, as we put on Twitter. I'd go to Fist Up in Florence. I think I've watched it, actually. But either way, I was expecting something like that. Not a single fibre in my body was thinking he was going to say the tickets go on sale in December, but you can pre-order them or whatever now. That is wild, isn't it? It's wild. And the other problem you've got is if you do genuinely have a big announcement, if you genuinely have an announcement that is genuinely big, is anyone going to pay attention? How are you going to get people? This is huge, mega, big, massive, ginormous, Herculean. Like, you're gonna have to really break out a thesaurus, aren't you? You're gonna really have to break out some words that are rarely used to try and get people to believe that this really is a big announcement. Because huge and big, they've been used now. Important, that's gone. Forget it. You're gonna have to find some new words. Omega and Jericho have picked up the win. James said, I'm glad about the announcement because I'm now signed up for the pre-sale, but it is a bit of a lead on. Can't stop, won't stop, said Tony, trying to sell tickets before WWE Europe tickets go on sale. Jaden said it is a little bit of the boy who cried wolf. Okay, Don Callis is on the entranceway. Maybe we need to take it up a notch. Maybe. If you've got the guts... Street fight, 2 weeks. You dummies. My man Tony never lets me down, said 50-50 TV. Days, look at Tony's face during that segment. He knows he's milking all of us. Don't say that around William. This is all for you. This isn't about your family, says Kenny. 1 hour till the show ends. How many are picking up remote controls and tuning out to bring the average down? A good number, I would imagine, buds. A really good number. We'll see tomorrow, I think, when they come out, but... by my math, you're still a man short. Okay. I've got a friend who's a bit bigger. Big Show? Maybe not a normal man. As big as Will Hobbs is, he's not a giant. Big Show? Unexpected. He's got the singlet on. Oh, he doesn't seem to... Is his legs all right? Can he walk okay? He's telling them to come to him. His legs don't look right. So, Big Show has come out. I mean, legends. I mean, brilliant, but... I don't know that he can walk. It's Captain Insano. That was spoiled on Dirt Sheet, said Travis. Was it? I have not seen any news on Big Show coming in. I haven't seen any news on this show, to be honest. His knees are gone. His knees look poor, don't they? Like they sort of like the one that like it was pointing more in, and he kind of came out and then dealt with one guy, and then there was a bit of a bring it. I think that was a bit of attitude, like bring it, but it was also like, no, please, because I can't chase after you. Bring it, please, because otherwise we ain't fighting. Yeah, that's a tricky one, that, innit? Had he have come out and looked, do you know what I mean, mobile, looked like he still had something about him, but he looks like he's aged, man, over these past few years. Catches up to all of us, doesn't it, eh? Look at Vince. Jeez, you see how much he'd aged when he was in Saudi Arabia? Well, it's the Big Show. Big Show's legs are going to blow out if he tries to wrestle. AEW is pretty much all elderly wrestling. Jerry Show said DEFCON Prime experience. Surprised those ankles are still intact, said Kevin. It is a lot of weight, isn't it? I looked away from the chat for a minute. I glanced back, and the first thing I saw is Milk Me Daddy Tony. Y'all done made me throw up in my mouth. Mrs. Armour, shout out to you. It's quite the comment to come back to, isn't it? And quite the comment to repeat as well. DEFCON Prime said Big Show has the same growth disease as the Great Khali and Andre the Giant. Jaden said, I'm already predicting Paul White turns on Jericho and will join Don Callis. Prince Moolah said, I thought it would be some other big man. Travis said, Jim called it on the drive-through. Big Guy said, I'm not surprising carrying that much weight for that long. It's going to take its toll on the body. Jeremy said he's been training. I learned that last week. I'm worried about him getting into the ring. The Big Show, if you look at alignment of his lower back, his knees are underlined and gone. I'm worried about his ankles. Well, the way I look at it is it's not my problem. That's how I look at it. And I think it's a healthy way to look at it as well. I can't go worrying about everyone else. He is a grown man who can worry about himself. Right, Marin Kenny's... the Golden Jets. Not mad at you. I'm not mad at Hangman. No one has each other's back anymore, says Matt. Do you forget what this guy did to our father all those years ago? So the Young Bucks aren't happy that Jericho is in the Kenny Omega locker room. He's going to screw you over just like Don did. Young Bucks aren't happy with this arrangement. Bit awkward that for Renee. Right, time for Willow. This might be all right. Willow Nightingale making her way down. 12 wins in her past 17. Bum, bum. Okay, Willow against Hikaru Shida for the AEW Women's Championship. Here comes Hikaru Shida. I hate to sound like Jim Cornette, but why is every rivalry in AEW about friendships, says Gerald's. Here's Hikaru Shida. Now it's the must-have one women's match of the week. Shida in the corner, holding up that AEW Women's Championship. Smile on the face of Willow. This might be all right. Might be all right. I don't mind either of these women. For those that missed Tony's announcement, it's that he's got hemorrhoids, said Wisp. C said, Renee has been a tremendous addition. Okay, handshake between Hikaru Shida and Willow, and the two lock up. Willow over by the ropes. Karu backing away. Shida in the center of the ring, circling rounds. These two looking to lock up again. Duck underneath there by Karu Shida. Willow in the middle of the ring as Shida comes back into the center and they lock up. Willow against the ropes. Shida against the ropes. Roll up by Willow. 2. Kick out. Oof. Shoulder tackle by Willow. Kip up by Shida. Down goes Shida again. She gets back up to her feet. Collides into Willow. Willow coming off the ropes. Shoulder tackle. Against the ropes again. Splash. 2. Shoulder up. Crowd aren't really into this, are they? Shida is back in the corner. Forearm strike by Willow. Trying to hurl Shida to the other side. Shida holding on to the top rope. Over the other side, Willow into the corner. Shida running out. The crowd are dead, man. I was quite up for this match, but the crowd are dead. It's like a flipping library. Willow has got Shida on her shoulders. Shida round the back of Willow. Willow round the back of Shida. Willow goes through the ropes to the outside. Shida knee strike as Willow goes to the outsides. Shida on the middle rope, crossbody, lands onto Willow. Willow goes down. There we go. Days, apparently Shida asked Tony Khan for more promos and feuds, and he said no. Into the railing goes Willow. The crowd is going crazy, said Lord Rupert. Crowd is tired after the huge announcement, said 50/50 TV. It was too good to handle. That's true. There is going to be a big come down after that. Probably would have been better if he'd have made the announcement at the very end of the show. Because it is a hard thing to follow. You are right, buds. Mitchell said, the crowd would be great if AEW was a golf event. Here we are now. Coming up to the 18th. It's got an opportunity to par. Shh. High stakes. Big moment. Kick coming in there by Shida. Yeah, they are, I can confirm, not into this match. I feel like we've only got about 10 people counting along with these strikes as well. Over to the other side goes Willow. Shida charges over, knee strike. Willow goes down. 1, 2. This isn't helping anyone, this match. It's not helping anyone. It's not helping these women because the crowd are just so dead. It makes it seem so boring. It would help Shida more if she just came in and just smashed Willow, got a big win, energized the crowds. Instead, like this kind of plodding, taking a while kind of crowd being quiet, just it's not helping Shida, it's not really helping Willow. I mean, it gets them on TV for the casuals to see them. Maybe the casuals will watch them and go, oh, I like this girl. Both women on their feet. This is Angel. AEW is going for Jericho and Omega, and if they had to book a feud between Jericho and Omega... Oh, is this the angle AEW is going for Jericho and Omega? What do you mean? They are going to do a 6-person street fight. That's what they're doing, and Big Show is going to be a part of it. Esteban said, Tony announced a massive new event access system where people can exchange their money for entry to a show. It's massive. It's huge. The guy said, what was the announcement? Oh, there's that micro brawler. We were talking about that earlier. It looks good. AEW shop. The big announcement is that you can get tickets to Wembley on December 1st, but you can join a pre-order type situation, pre-sale thing. So... very exciting. William said, can we seriously not mock Tony Khan so much? After tonight's announcement, I'm more sure than ever he really is a special person. Does that avail Tony to the same ridicule? That is an interesting point, isn't it? If it turned out he did have, like... mental limitations, which I don't know that he does, but if it turned out he had mental limit, like would people be more forgiving? Probably not in this world. Have you seen social media? Jesus, if anything, people will double down. I mean, I feel like it's not unfair to say that he used that announcement or the promise of a huge announcement to boost his ratings. I think he has used the fans to try and like boost his ratings. Now, for me, that announcement isn't big enough to warrant the hoopla that preceded it. So, is that for me? Is absolutely opened himself up to criticism. Willow, shot coming in there by Shida. I'll tell you the other thing as well. I think it's really Shida going for the cover. I think it's really... can't think of the word I'm looking for. He's sort of looking as if this... I think to him this is big news because it's a big show and it's their biggest show and they've got to try and sell tickets again for next year. And so he wants to tell his AEW fans, guys, you remember that show we did? Well, we're doing it again. I know you know that, but check this out. Tickets on sale December. You can get them for Christmas. You can ask people for them. And as well as that, we're going to do a pre-sale. I think to him, it is genuinely big news. I think to him, this is like, it's him and his mates. It's him and his fans, the AEW fans. And he's talking to them. The problem is that there's a lot of people that are not going to that show. There's more people not going to that show than are going to that show, right? So to him, it's big news because to him, he needs to sell Wembley again, right? So to him, it is big, huge, important. And maybe to anyone that's going, it's big, huge, important. Like, oh, Tony, thank you. Because I was going to go. I went last year and I am going to go again this year. Maybe to them, it's big, huge, important. But there are so many more hundreds of thousands of people that are not going and have no intention of going than are going or are intending to go. It's so small-minded. That's probably the closest I can get vocabulary-wise. It's so small-minded, that announcement. Part of me thinks he's done it to just get views, get ratings. He knows that it's not big news, but he's built it up as big news to get the rating, right? Part of me thinks he's done that. But I must admit, there's another part of me that thinks in his world, that is big news. In his world, he's got to try and sell Wembley again. So in his world, it is big, huge announcement. And so he's talking to the people that are going, and you can get tickets. The pre-sale is on now. It is big, huge announcement to them as well. But if you think beyond that, if you think bigger than that, and you think of the amount of people that aren't going and that don't care about that news, there's so many more people that are going to react to that news like, I don't give a flip. We do have Tony. I don't know why she came out and started rolling around on the floor. I don't know what that was about, but Shida picks up the win. My spirit animal, Tony Storm, came out. She started rolling around on the floor. And now she's just been chased. Lights have gone out. Julia Hart's in the ring. Oh, I thought that was going to be good. Julia Hart is in the ring. Julia puts a hand out. What's in the other hand, Julia? What's in the other hand? Sky blue. Sky felt the mist of Julia. Did she? Okay. Sky came down and she just misted Julia, but I think she just got her in the... I think she got her in the throat. This is awful. This is awful. She didn't get any in her eyes. Bum, bum. I like the music. Bum, bum, bum. Bum, bum. This could have been done in a 5-minute match and women's promo, said Alexis. Right, here's the Acclaimed. Damn it, Max. No one likes you. Everyone loves the Acclaimed. Got to scissor us if you team with us. I got one more group on my list, MJF said. We're here to help. Jeff Jarrett, Jay Lethal, Sanjay Dutt, Satnam Singh. Right, we've got Renee. Renee! Renee! This might be one of the most boring Dynamites ever. I honestly am not just saying this. I think this is one of the worst Dynamites I've seen this year. I don't know that I could find a single redeeming factor. Yeah, honestly. Okay, so Roderick's trying to call Adam Cole. Coming up next is the 8-man tag main event match. You got 23 minutes to go. 23 minutes. 23 minutes. This is reminding me why I stopped watching AEW for a while, said George. William said, because we... William, shout out to you. Travis said, she didn't hit her in the face with mist just as bad as Malachi Black. Julia and Sky Blue rivalry would be great to two super young extraordinary talents. This has been borderline awful. Sonny, hello, shout out to you. At least we got the big announcement. Right, we've had 241 votes. We could probably end that poll. We're moving on, and we are moving to what I like to call the main event. MJF and people are taking on Gang Bang Gang against MJF and some people, but we don't know who the people are. C said, the Acclaimed gimmick is getting old. The Acclaimed have junior high sense of humor, says C. Mitchell said, I'm scared to see the ratings for this show. James said, how did Yes get 24%? Because it deserved it. That's why, James, it deserved it. The people have spoken. The community has spoken. This is how they feel. And I'm right there with you. I was 24% impressed as well. Sonny, I love you more than can be put into words, said William. Big Time said, imagine 700,000 becomes the new norm for the remainder of the... that would be disappointing, wouldn't it? You have 25% that you love or hate. Then the middle will tell the story, said Jason. Serious Gaming said, put in brackets, awful show. Ledge Killer, shout out to you. Gang Bang Gang is truly all elite. Let's go. I would watch the Gang Bang Gang. In fact, I think I have. I'm late to the show. What was the announcement, said Ryan? Tony Khan has found some dinosaur DNA inside some amber, and he thinks that he can actually bring dinosaurs back to life. If he can, he's going to start an amusement park. That's the announcement. It's big. I mean, when he said huge, important, I didn't think he meant like for all of mankind. But fair play. Fair play. He's thinking of calling it Dinosaur Park. He hasn't finalized the name, but Dinosaur Park. Gerald said, clearly this AEW show is too complex for Days and for you all to understand. This isn't just peak wrestling, but it's peak television. Sincerely, not Tony Khan. Gerald, shout out to you, my friend. Shout out to you. I am more than happy to admit I'm in the wrong. I'm in the wrong. It's me. It's not you. Tony, if you're watching this, you're killing it. You're killing it. Just because I haven't enjoyed this episode, it's me. I've got toothache. I'm on the Nurofen. It's probably playing some sort of a part, isn't it? You know? Here's the Acclaimed. Maybe if I was to take more of these, I'd think it is a good show. I'd also think the sky is pink and that I was married to an elephant. So, Bullet Club are just New Japan rejects. Oh, God, she doesn't look impressed. Did you see that kid? Did you see the kids? See the little girl in the front? She was like... I don't know if she's just trying to act cool or if she really is just not into the Acclaimed. But there was a kid in the front, arms folded. Perhaps she was like, you know what I mean? Perhaps that was her hip-hop stance, I don't know. But she weren't feeling it, man. She weren't feeling it. Maybe Tony can sniff some of that Jurassic cocaine. Did they have it around back then? Did they have it around, the old Jurassic cocaine? Rick said 11 months. I still don't know how to cancel this, says Rick. Rick, God bless. You have to just really hit the resubscribe button really hard. And I think that does it. I'm not sure. And if it comes up your membership, go for that. Here's JF and he's wearing a t-shirt that says Sesame. And his trunks have got scissors on. Oh God. Oh, that must have been what was in the bag. Oh God. I'm crying. Oh, Jesus. Oh, well played. Oh, God, that is funny. He was so upset earlier when he looked in the bag. He's like, I'm not wearing this. And then I didn't think about it. And now he's come out wearing, like, the scissors and... Oh, God. Right, well, our main event is set. It's going to be MJF and the Acclaim taking on the Gangbang Gang. Acclaim. Oh, God. Unbelievable. The ring gear suits MJF. You know he's been preparing for this look all week, said JB. Okay. We've got 15 minutes. 15 minutes. Did you really not see that coming, said Lord Rupert? Oh, God, honestly, Lord Rupert, I didn't think about it. Still busy thinking about Tony's announcement. Days versus Nurofen. Who's going to win, said Retro C. Find out next week. Do you know what? I don't actually think it's the Nurofen that's having an impact because I took it a little while ago. I think it will have wore off by now. I think it's the lack of Nurofen. Do you remember when we started the stream? I was like, I feel really good. I think I think mentally I was in a really good place. And I think the Nurofen was helping me. And now, like, it's wore off and I can feel a bit of a pain here. And I can feel a pain here as well. And I can feel a pain here. But part of that's got nothing to do with any illness or any kind of issue I've got. Rampage. Del Vikingo, Penta, Commander, Triple Threat. Rampage. Also, Christopher Daniels and Matt Sydal taking on the Guns. Also, Sky Blue takes on Marina Shafir. You know me. Yes, you do. You don't know me. Trent Barretta, Collision, the Acclaimed, 69. 69. You know, like when you've got two people and they're doing it upside down, they've got a 69-day title celebration. I don't even know what titles they've got, but they've got something. And they're going to celebrate being champs for 69 days. It's a sex thing. AR Fox is going to go up against Swerve as well on Collision. On the bright sides, my C's beat the Pacers, said Gerald's. Could also be Dynamite. I think we all need Nurofen for this episode, said Retro C. Imagine that, Nurofen AEW edition. Shafia puts me to sleep. She's so dull, said James. Days, Bird, let's go outside. We'll take a walk. Come on. Come on. Come on, let's go for a stroll. You know, I had high hopes. I really did. I think people are going to start thinking, like, when I start the streams, and I'm like, listen, this could be quite good. They're going to think that I'm like Tony Khan, but I'm not. Because I looked at the graphic, and I was like, well, not that boomer, all that. Oh, God. I haven't got the graphics I want. I was looking at this graphic, and I was like, well, I like Hikaru Shida, and I like Willow. Genuinely. We're going to hear from Adam Copeland. I mean, he used to be Edge. We've got MJF. I mean, he always has significant moments. We've got the Tony announcement. That's 1, 2, 3. There's 4 things there. 4 things out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, out of 7 that I was like, yeah, you know, could get something from that. You know? Do you know what I've noticed with AEW? It's just a constant slew of bad comedy. Like, he comes out in that attire. Now we've got a bit where they want to scissor him. And it's like, earlier when Hangman came out on his graphic, he said he needs to invest in a new home security system. You know? It's like they can't help it. All the time there's got to be this bad comedy. Mm. 10 minutes. Oh, Adam Copeland used to be a big deal, said Dark Angel. I think he still is to some, but it's just been a badly managed situation, I think. I think to have your first match on a show that gets viewed by, what was it, 600 and something thousand? I mean, they did it to try and, like, stick it to NXT, really. And NXT responded by going, okay, well, here's Undertaker, here's John Cena. I mean, those people that did watch Edge's match against, I'm sure they enjoyed it. But it was less than they normally get. I mean, it was the hardcore of the hardcore that was watching that show that week. And that's the week that you put his match on. And then, like, unfortunately, when he does speak, he is, well, I said, didn't I? I said, like, they gave so much away before his first promo. He rocked up at the pay-per-view, and there should have been nothing that got mentioned. If you want to find out more, you tune into Dynamite. He was at the press conference. Telling us how excited he was, why he was here, who he wants to face, blah, 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 blah. Oh, just, here, have it. And then they had that trouble, didn't they, where that show should have done 1 million. Should have done 1 million. And it ends up doing 800,000, less than it normally would do. And I think that there is definitely something in the DVR issues that they had that week. I think there's definitely something in there. But you can't tell me that had those DVR issues not happened, that still would have done 1 million. You can't tell me 200,000 people were affected by that. I ain't having that. 1 in 5 people. I ain't having that. I do agree, though, it would have been higher. I do agree that more people would have tuned in if it weren't for the DVR issues, but I think the first promo, they gave way too much away before he said his first promo on Dynamite. Then they did the match the same week he went up against NXT. Then they're further in the story on Collisions, try and boost Collisions ratings. We've got big developments happening on Collision. Well, people don't watch Collision. So all these little developments and all these little moments people are missing out on. I think it's been badly managed, man. I think it's been badly managed. And honestly, I'm at the point where it's like, if he's on the show and he's going to say something, you know you're going to get a segment that's going to be important, right? Because he's important. But other than that, I wouldn't tune in to watch what his antics and watch what he's up to. I'll be interested to see him against Christian when they go one-on-one. And maybe if he faces, like, MJF. Or if it's him against Kenny, like, something like that. Other than that, for me personally, I'm already, I don't care. And I don't think I'm alone. Right, we are 7 minutes. WWE bringing out fossils. AEW brought out the extinct, a.k.a. Flair, says Mrs. Armour. It wasn't just a DVR issue. It was scheduled at 4 on cable and satellite channels, said Real Kyle. Yeah, but do you genuinely think that 1 in 5 people were affected by that? Do you genuinely think they would have done 1 million? Because I do put a lot in the fact that they gave so much for free in the press conference. I think that if you wanted to know why is there, if you wanted to know who he's looking to face, if you want to know if, you know, is he a face, is he a heel, is he excited? Like, we had all of that in the press conference following the last pay-per-view. I think that it definitely had an effect. But I saw, I think, was it Dave Meltzer, who had a prediction type thing that it would have been about 10%. About 10%. So he's saying that it would have, their number would have been 880. It came out at 800, but if it weren't for those issues, it would have been 880. Still like, their normal number's about 850. So we're saying that it would have gone up about 30,000. I can't be alone in thinking that if you've got Edge and you've managed to pick him up, the next Dynamite that he's on, that has to be, you've got to be looking at 1 million. For that Dynamite, got to be looking at 1 million for that Dynamite. Because they hit 1 million like 12 times last year. I think it might even be more than that. But they hit 1 million. And this year, I think they've done it about twice. And you've got to think if they go and get Edge, the amount of money they're spending on him, they surely were thinking at least that first show. You know, when CM Punk came in, Rampage did 1.2. I think it was 1.2, wasn't it? It was around that kind of ballpark. Maybe it was 1.1 something, but you get my point. That was Rampage. Now, like, Edge comes in and they're doing 800,000. Maybe it should have been 880. I just think that throughout the whole of his time in AEW so far, it's been pretty consistently mismanaged. Well, we'll find out, won't we? I mean, he was announced beforehand that he was going to be doing an announcement on this show. So if he is a draw, if people are still engaged, if people are still on boards, this will do a good number, won't it? Right there, just going down the Full Gear cards. We believe Meltzer when he just throws out percentages, but if he ranks a wrestling match or a rumor, then we dismiss him. Well, no, but you tell me, do you think that 20%, 1 in 5 people wouldn't have tuned in? I find that very, very hard to believe. Meltzer, I mean, that's the only number I've seen, so I don't have any other number to throw out. I find it hard to believe that 20% of viewers were affected by the issues that week. I find that very, very hard to believe. The only other number I've got as reference is Dave Meltzer saying that they believe it to be about 10%. And I don't even know where he got that from. I don't even know if he's plucked that out of thin air, right? It might be that he's actually got it from somewhere. You know, a match rating is going to be his opinion. I don't know that that was his opinion. TV is shiz nowadays. I don't watch. I have IPTV, so I don't get counted anyway, says Rick. A. Jobson said, this feels like late era WCW. But I don't believe anything Meltzer says, said James. Jeremy said, Summer is missing tonight. Mitchell said, MJF should join the Bang Bang Gang. Right, we've got MJF slamming people around. MJF on the outside of the ring, chasing after Switchblades. MJF against the ropes. It's AEW Strip Naked as well as WWE, two differently ran promotions. Kangaroo kick. Okay, Switchblade gets the pin and the win on MJF. And our prayers have been answered. Let's do the poll. We'll put the poll up in the chat. I'm not going to bother putting it on the channel. See what people have got to say. See what people think. Okay. Poll is up so you can vote away. And right now we've got the Acclaimed have failed to help MJF. MJF in the ring, but Acclaimed jumped back in to try and come to his aid. That's just going to leave MJF and Switchblade. Switchblade has got that triple B. They've only got two because they have wrestling matches. Tony needs to make Jay White strong whilst he's got the belt, said Travis. Okay, so Switchblade went to wallop MJF, but I think it was Max Caster that jumped in and took it instead. No need for an overrun. That's it. Close the curtain. I honestly think this is one of the worst shows I've seen this year. To the point where it has been a chore to sit through the 2 hours. I will be interested to hear what people think of this show to see if I'm just completely out of sync. But I think this was awful. I think this is one of the worst shows I've seen this year. It's just silly comedy, stupid comedy, all throughout. Jason said Tony made that expectation higher than it is. Why it's rated so low? There we go. They all scissor. Right. The crowd are chanting BS. I honestly, I don't know. I think the live crowd are still into it. I mean, I'm seeing smiling faces. I'm not seeing a crowd that's turned on this show. I think AEW needs Jay to win. It's time for change. MJF is a big draw without the title, says C. I agree. I agree. I think they do need to build someone else up. Right. It's done. It's over. I'm not going to say anymore because, like, for me, that was not a good show, and that is putting it nicely. I think people know that I feel that way about it. So rather than me sitting here and moaning about it, I'd much rather get other people's thoughts on it. So put your thoughts in the chat right now. Put your comments, put your thoughts in the chat. I'm going to read down those, see what people thought. Mr. Unfamiliar said, I just got here. Was an announcement announced? Is there more announcements to come? There was an announcement. It's about Wembley tickets. They are on sale December 1st. Do you think Tony needs someone like Cornette or maybe someone experienced? I think they're lacking structure. I don't know who writes these shows now. I mean, I know that they brought in, was it Will Washington? And I know that apparently Bryan Danielson's been doing stuff on Collision. So I actually don't know who writes this show. I think that they need to seriously have a look at who's writing it. I think whoever's writing it, I don't even care if it turns out that this was Bryan Danielson. If it turns out that Bryan Danielson wrote this show tonight, right? 0 egg on my face, because I will quite happily say it was garbage, and I don't give a flip who wrote it. I don't care who wrote it. I don't care if it was Vince McMahon that sat down and wrote it. I don't care if we got Vince McMahon from the Attitude Era to come in and write it. Like, for me, something's not right. There's so many little in-jokes and little... you know, at times it feels like a bigger version of Being the Elite. That's how it feels sometimes. Feels like it's just a bigger version of Being the Elite. There's a lot of just, like, silly comedy. I said I was going to shut up. Don't start me! I agree with what C was saying. I think AEW needs Jay White to win. I think it's time for a change. MJF is a big draw without the title. I agree. I agree with that. I also think there's a lot of value in the chase. So, like, MJF, any MJF segment's going to be a big segment. And hopefully, if you've got, like, some good story around the title, that should be a separate big segment as well. So, I agree. Putting MJF and the title in the same segment means that the rest of the show's having to do, like, quite a bit of work. And week after week after week, we just seem to be seeing that it can't do that work. The Beach Kevin said, I think Days is on too many meds. This show was good. Retro C said, Mitchell, do AEW have writers, or is it basically old style booking? Either way, something needs to change. The overall booking is bad. Wisp said, Tony doesn't know what he's doing, and I love it. Ricardo said, I can't believe anybody had Tony Khan as Booker of the Year. I think HBK has done 10 times better with NXT. Big Time said, I just feel more and more people are tuning out from watching AEW. Well, I think they've got their core audience, and I think that that core audience is very, very loyal. And I think that for some of them, these shows work for them and cater to their taste. I think for others, there might be a little bit of not seeing, like, the problems because they so want it to work and they are so AEW ride or die. I think there's a fair bit of that. I mean, imagine that. Imagine the tribalism, yeah? Imagine you're an AEW tribalist. You go to war on social media with AEW. There ain't no way that you can lose face by admitting that this isn't a good show. There's no way, is there? You've backed yourself into a corner. Like, your profile's all at AEW. You go to war on social media for AEW. You're sticking it to the WWE fans. You can't back down now and go, do you know what? I was wrong. That's a hard thing for people to admit, isn't it? That's a hard thing for people to say. Like, not even that they're wrong, but just it's hard. It's difficult in it because, like, for me, this was a bad show. I keep saying it, but if others out there really hand on heart enjoyed it, I'm pleased for them. I'm pleased for them. I ain't down on them. I'm pleased for them. But I do think that there is people out there that go to war for AEW that are going to find it real difficult to back down from the stance that they've chosen, because this just strikes me as a show that's really losing its way and in decline and really struggling, and it's not had any momentum all year. It's really struggled with the ratings. They did do Wembley. You have to point to Wembley and say that was an incredible achievement. And you can also point to the fact that they have been consistent around the 800,000 mark, as well as starting a new show on a Saturday, which means some of the key stuff has gone to that show, as we said earlier. So there are a couple of things there you can definitely point at, and you can definitely say, take a bow. You know, take a bow at the fact that you have now split your roster. You're doing stuff on Saturday as well as on Wednesday, and you're still keeping a pretty good number for Dynamite. So take a bow on that, and take a bow on that Wembley achievement. I mean, absolutely brilliant. But really, outside of that, it is slim pickings finding like stuff to celebrate and stuff to like cheer about. So I don't know that less and less people are tuning in. Maybe they are. Maybe that core fan base is starting to erode away. It certainly feels like it's eroding away rather than getting bigger. Certainly feels like we're seeing some of those AEW loyalists starting to think to themselves, is this the right thing for me? I don't know. I mean, where do you start? Where do you even start? I think that I think he needs help. He needs help. I don't know who wrote this show, but they need to not be writing shows. And he needs to go and get some proper writers. But I think he has already kind of admitted that to himself, and I think he has took steps in that direction, you know? Let's go down. Raw and SmackDown have been garbage 95% of the year, but WWE fans won't admit it. Well, maybe there's some truth to that with WWE fans not wanting to admit that Raw has been very stale. I think if you're a WWE fan and you can't admit that Raw has been stale for a while, then maybe you've got some tribalist bias as well. But I think that Raw and SmackDown have not been anywhere near this, what we've just seen here. And I think that SmackDown has actually been pretty good, certainly at the start of the year as Roman was around. With Roman being away, we leaned on John Cena. And I'll admit, I don't think that's been as good. I actually think the whole company, WWE, with the exception of NXT, I think that it had a good run up until about SummerSlam. And then I think if you look at the premium live events following SummerSlam, and even look at the fact that like Roman went away, and I don't think SmackDown was as good. Raw has been pretty stale for a while. For some reason, we got to SummerSlam and then we hit a brick wall. So I would agree that Raw and SmackDown and the premium live events haven't been as good since SummerSlam. I would disagree with the majority of the year. I'd definitely disagree with 95% of the year. But I think I would be prepared to say SummerSlam was seemingly where things took a turn for the worse in WWE. And now, I mean, I'm hopeful that WWE are going to put on a big show for Crown Jewel. I'm hopeful that they're going to deliver something that's going to really like, wow. But because of the past few premium live events, I really don't have a great deal of confidence in that. But we'll see on Saturday. Kian said, my score is 0. It was garbage and boring, and I can't believe it's still here. It needs to go bankrupt. I don't like AEW. I could never enjoy it, says Kian. Well, it seems like AEW probably hasn't been for you at any point then, buds. So, you know, I think that this is probably a stream that you could afford to miss and a show that you could afford to miss. I think they have done some good stuff. I think that there is something to them. I mean, first of all, they give a home to people that I think deserve a home. You know, like look at Toni Storm. Toni Storm is doing some of her best work, man. And I think that I'm loving her timeless Toni Storm character. I think that if she wasn't in WWE and she walked out, where would she have gone? Maybe Impact. At least here, she's being seen by more people. You know, no disrespect to Impact, but they get about, what, 300,000? Whereas at least this is getting like 700 and something thousand. She's certainly being seen by more people. So, you know, you look at Toni Storm. You look at Edge as well. I mean, Edge, WWE didn't have anything for him. So, but he still wanted to compete. MJF, you know, as much as I haven't been engaged with what he's been doing for quite a while now, certainly since he turned face, I think that, I mean, he's a massive star who did get turned down by WWE, and I'm sure they regret that, but at least there's a landing place for him. So I feel like we could do something with MJF, for me personally, better than what we're doing. I think that Tony's killing it. I think Jamie Hayter, when she returns, is going to be great. I think Daniel Bryan always delivers a banging match. I think Kenny always delivers a banging singles match. There is something definitely there. Do you know, if I was Tony, I don't even know if I would look at it and I'd go, do you know what? Forget Collision, forget Rampage. I'm going to book Dynamite and I'm going to make it what it should be. I'm going to, you know, people love Danielson matches, so I'm going to give them Danielson. I know you can't right now, but I'm going to give them Danielson match. People love Kenny singles matches, so we're going to try and put some of them on. We're going to try and build a few stars as well. Who are my real... Not everyone. I ain't building everyone. Forget that. I want to really get behind, say, my next pillars. Who are my next pillars? Maybe we even refer to them as the next pillars, the new pillars of AEW. And, you know, when Jamie comes back, brilliant. Where's Britt Baker as well? I mean, she was single-handedly holding up the women's division for a long time. Where's she gone? Is she injured? I don't know. Maybe she's looking after Adam Cole. Either way, I need Britt. I'm loving what we got with Tony. I'm taking the title off MJF, and I'm going to put it onto someone new. I'm going to do something a bit more stripped back with MJF. I'm going to put him in a feud. I'm turning him heel. I'm going to put him in a juicy feuds. So I've got my MJF segment. I've got a new champion. I've got my 4 pillars. You know, and before you know it, you've got a few different bits and bobs that are going on that you can have a bit of confidence with. And then I'll worry about Collision with what's left over. And I'll worry about Rampage with what's left over. Because there ain't no one tuning into them shows anyway. Rampage gets about 300,000 views. Collision gets 400 and some thousand views. I mean, all's we've done is we've just watered everything down. Rather than having one show that's getting to 1 million like 12, 13 times a year, we've now just watered everything down and everything's been spread so thin. You know, just get your real good stuff, get all your good stuff, chuck it onto a show, and then what you've got left over, have a meeting with them and go, I'm going to give you lot Collision, right? It's your show. I want new stars to rise up. Yeah, this is your opportunity. Danielson, Omega, Toni Storm, Britt Baker, they're all on Dynamite. It's your opportunity now to rise up and to take this show and create moments and create characters and give me what you've got. And you know what? Are the ratings going to fall much lower than where they are? I mean, I would imagine the 400,000 that tune into Collision are probably diehard AEW fans that will watch it, whatever's on. So I don't even know that the ratings would even decrease. I'd be interested. I'd keep an eye on it. But I would be interested to know if they did. I would also be interested to know if they did decrease, would I get into trouble with the network? You know, at what point are the network having a pop at me? If the network are going to start having a go at me, then I might start doing something. But if not, I'm going big on Dynamite. I'm going big on Dynamite. I want to get like some buzz back again. I want to get some momentum again. I want to put all my eggs in a basket again. It's so spread out. NXT is probably the best weekly show, said George. Jim said, I'm a wrestling fan and I have not seen a bad wrestling show in a while. James said, only proper, consistent, great shows are NXT and Impact. Jason said, streaming brackets one show with the first hour Collision, aka weekly house shows. So 1 hour of Collision each week on 10 hour and 8:10 Dynamite. Do you think that Jeff cameo was a way to troll people? Do you think that Jeff cameo was what? Jeff cameo? Impact did 77 on Access TV. Their rates show this year was Trinity debut that did 149. Oh, is that true? I thought it was higher than that. What was the 300,000 that I saw them? I thought I'd seen 300,000 on a wrestle thing. Impact. Oh, maybe it was Was it Rampage? That's interesting, isn't it? About women of wrestling. So women of wrestling are consistently higher than Impact. Why is that? What's that from? I've never noticed that. Women of wrestling tend to be around that kind of 300,000 range. Maybe she would have ended up going there instead then, Tony Storm. Is that on TV in America? Jennifer says, I want AEW to do big numbers as competition helps all wrestling. Tonight, Tony made himself seem worse due to false hype and a nothing burger, says Jennifer. Well, that's a good point. Rio said top stars should appear on all 3 shows with a rotated schedule. MJF does Dynamite 1 week, Collision the next, and Rampage after that, and so forth. I disagree. The reason why I disagree is because they're sort of doing that with Edge, and it makes you feel like you're missing out on things. But I can't watch Collision, and Edge wouldn't be enough to make me want to tune in, even if I could. But I feel like I'm only getting part of the story. If I tune into Raw, I feel like I'm getting the story because it's the same show each week, the same roster each week. At the current setup where we have someone like Adam Copeland that's being used to boost ratings across a few different shows, I feel like I'm not getting like the full picture. But it doesn't bother me enough where I'm going to start tuning into Collision, because Collision, for example, I can't. I mean, I've got Crown Jewel this weekend. That's way bigger than an episode of Collision. UFC gets in the way. Tyson Fury fighting or other big boxing events get in the way. If you're an AEW fan that can watch Collision, my guess is you're probably already doing it. If you're a casual fan, chances are Saturday's a bad night. So if you're going to do a story, a feud with MJF, I don't think you should be faffing around having him pop on Collision or whatever, because all you're doing is you're making the people that can tune into a Wednesday, they're missing out. They're missing out on the development. And guess what? They're going to stop caring. They're going to stop caring because if they're not there to watch the story continue and they're not there for each development, they just won't bother watching. Because that's how I feel about Adam Copeland. I'm not really bothered about what's going on with Adam Copeland now because I can't watch Collision and there's big developments that take place on there and I can't watch it. It's not a case of like, well, here's a simple solution, watch Collision. I can't because it's on at the same time as massive events that I have to watch for the channel and massive events that have got their own appeal. So Saturday is just a real bad day. It's a really, really bad day. And I know you could go, well, DVR it and stuff like that, but let's be honest, the vast majority of people ain't doing that. The vast majority of people ain't setting their DVRs and going out of their way to program their DVRs to watch a show, right? The casual fan is not doing that. So I wouldn't complicate it that way. I would just have them on the same show, developing the same stories. That's what you get with Raw. That's what you get with SmackDown. That's what you get with NXT. I'd imagine it's what you get with Impact. I'm not aware that they've got different shows. So I would imagine it's probably the same. You tune in once a week and you see that story develop and you get a reminder of like, this is what happened last week. So I would keep it like that personally. I think they've got enough of a roster to make Collision deliver semi-decent numbers. I mean, it's only getting 400,000 anyway. So why not like tell some stories with Andrade or tell some stories with whoever's left over, Miro or whoever didn't make it to Dynamite. Just use them over on Collision. Because like the 400,000 that can watch Collision, I reckon a good chunk of them are the hardcore AEW fans anyway. And I reckon a good chunk of them are going to watch really whatever you put on and build up your own stories on Collision. Tony seemed to want a bit of a brand split, but he didn't want like a hard brand split. And I think it was probably the right idea. I just think the problem was that taking someone like CM Punk and putting him on Collision was probably not the right call. I know it kept him out the way of the elites, but we all need to be adults and we all need to put our big boy pants on, and they all needed to get into a room and get it sorted because for the sake of the company, I think CM Punk and the Elite and Danielson and whoever else being on Dynamite, that's what Dynamite was getting last year. And that's how Dynamite was getting to 1,013 times. Now it's just spread so thin. It's been spread so thin that, like, I think Dynamite in people's eyes has become less appealing because the star power is not as strong. I don't think it's as good as it was. I think that, and I think that's hurting the show. And it's very hard to, I mean, like, Sky Blue just stepped up to Julia Hart. Where's that come from? Is that from Rampage? Is that from Collision? Because it's a nothing story that I don't care about anyway. But when she came down, I had no emotion about whether Sky Blue should join up with Julia Hart or join up with Willow or Turner. I don't give a flip what they do because I don't feel like I've been watching that build. So I don't know. That's just one example of things that are playing out on other AEW shows that I'm not privy to, that just make me disconnected from Dynamite. There's large parts of Dynamite that I don't care about, I'm not connected with, because they're playing out on Rampage and playing out on Collision. Kirby says, Women of Wrestling is at 4 p.m. on a Sunday. It's on an off-brand channel. Mitchell said, I honestly can't believe we got trolled by Tony. I feel conned. Carty says, I am packing off. Carty, have a good evening. Botched Eye Surgery said, it's almost time to can the AEW streams. I don't know. I don't know. I've been struggling with it for a while. I mean, I am someone that was in Last Chance Saloon anyway. You know, I'm not a diehard AEW fan that's just gone from absolutely loving the company to now going, oh God, what was this show? I was someone that was in Last Chance Saloon anyway. So for me, like each episode, and I said they did all right last week. So for me, each episode was teetering on the brink. But yeah, this is bad. This is a bad episode, and I don't know. I don't know if this is the end of the road for our streams, to be honest. I'm not enjoying them. And I can't imagine people are enjoying joining us for them as well. Because unless you're someone that enjoys hate watching AEW, which I've said before, I don't enjoy hate watching it. I'm sure there are people out there that think that I'm only doing this so that I can hate watch it, right? Well, they're going to get a big wake-up call when we just stop doing the streams, aren't they? That's gonna put scupper to that theory. But listen, I've got so much that I could be getting on with. I've got so much stuff that I could be doing. I've got like so many videos I could be working on and doing instead. That like for me to give over 3 hours of my Wednesday night to do a stream that's just a hate watch thing, I ain't interested in it. I ain't interested in it. If you're under the wrong illusion that that's what we're trying to do, you're going to get a wake-up call when we stop the streams. So I don't know that this was the last one, to be honest. I really don't know. Maybe it'll depend on what they announce for next week. If I look at it and there's like some really good Tony Storm match, because I like Tony Storm, there's going to be something like that, and there's going to be like a juicy Kenny Omega singles match. You know, I heard Kenny against MJF from Collision was fantastic. I don't doubt for a second it was. Not for a second do I doubt. I don't think that's AEW fans putting a positive spin on it. Kenny Omega singles matches are really enjoyable. MJF can go in the ring as well, right? I have no doubt whatsoever it was a banger. No doubt in my mind. I just wish we'd had it tonight. I just wish that's what we'd had tonight, rather than it being on a Collision show that didn't even get 500,000 viewers. But listen, these are the decisions that they have to make. No one is doing what's right for AEW, or no one wants AEW to succeed more than Tony Khan. No one, right? So he is looking at the data. He is making the decisions that he feels needs to be made. And it's up for debate as to whether they're the right decisions or not. But he is the one that's in charge of that ship. And he is doing what he thinks is right for that ship. So it's irrelevant to say they should do this, they should do that, blah, 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 because they ain't doing some of them things. And to be perfectly truthful with you, I don't even know if you did those things, if they would work. It's really easy to say they should do this, they should do that. But I can't sit here and say that it would result in better ratings, can I? I know it would result in me enjoying the show more. I know I'd get more enjoyment out of the show, and I think that's half the battle won. So I know that, but I can't sit here with any evidence and say that it would improve the ratings. So Tony's got to do what Tony's going to do, and I do think it would be beneficial for him to, again, have a look at that backstage team, have a look at the producers, have a look at the tone of the show, have a look at the writers, just keep questioning, look at the ratings. Is there something different that you can be doing? Is there something more that you can be doing? You know, maybe the answer is yes. Maybe the answer is no. But I definitely think that they've got the on-screen talent. I really question what's happening behind the scenes there. I really question what's happening behind the scenes. Let's get a couple of more comments and then we will run away. Jobson said, question is, if MJF can find new partners, I told you that the Acclaimed is not worthy. Next week, MJF will find partners to shake up his match against Bullet Club Golds. Jim said, it's pretty bad you couldn't take half an hour to watch a great match. Well, I mean, I knew who had won, and I've no doubt that MJF and Kenny was a banging match. But I don't watch Collision. I was watching the Fury thing. I was watching that. And then the next day I was doing some videos, and then I was going to do the Sunday stream. So, like, my week's pretty full up, to be honest. And it's irrelevant for me to watch something that happens on Collision, because I ain't going to watch Collision the next week either. So if AEW want me to see something, show it me on Dynamite, because I can watch Dynamite. There's about 800,000 people that watch Dynamite, or 700,000 now, 790, 800,000, 400,000 that watch Collision. So I ain't alone. In fact, I don't even affect the numbers. In America alone, and I think this would be replicated around the world, I think that there are about 400,000, well, I know there are 400,000 people, 300, 400,000 people that watch Dynamite that don't watch Collision, and I think that's this reflected around the world. I think it's the same around the world. Saturday is a bad day. So if you really want the fans to watch something, clearly Dynamite is the show to put it on, because it gets not quite double, but it gets a considerable amount of more viewers than what Collision gets. And I know they're fighting to try and get like more viewers in for Collision, and maybe they thought that MJF Kenny Omega was going to bring in more viewers than it actually did. Perhaps they thought, there's no WWE show, we'll put the match on, we'll put on the biggest match we can, MJF Kenny Omega, let's go big, let's see like what it does to the rating. And so they've put it on, and the end result is it didn't do anything. It didn't move the rating. The rating was not that great. So is that lesson learned? You know, have they learned a lesson from that? That like Collision's going to do what Collision does? Like, put on a banging show, please the fans that tune in. But if you've got something substantial or something significant, like Dynamite is the place to put it on. What do you rate the show? I give it a 3. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. I would really struggle to find any redeeming features. There really wasn't. I can't think of anything I enjoyed. I mean, I enjoyed Toni Storm coming out, but she was out there for all of a few moments. Some of the matches had some decent moments, and there was bits of decent action. I mean, I wouldn't give it a flat out 0, but yeah, I'm certainly. Let's put it this way: I am part of the 34% that would have clicked 4.75 or below. Let's close that. I watched the match on Sunday. It was really good. I enjoyed the Fury stream more, said Mrs. Armour. It's been a little bit off since the second misfire with CM Punk, says John. I'm trying to find comments. Kirby said, wrestling is the only show on television that focus on weekly ratings religiously. James said, I watch WoW on YouTube. Jim said, if it was a WWE show, then there would be time to watch it. Yeah, there would, because I'd be watching it. I'd be watching the show. If it was a WWE show, I would have skipped the Fury fight and I would have done the WWE show. But I can't do that with AEW, because Collision gets, what does Collision get? 400,000 viewers. So if what's that? That's less than NXT. So NXT for us does about 3,000 to 4,000 viewers that join us on a Saturday. If I was to do Collision every single week, that means that on a Saturday, I could probably expect to do 3,000 to 4,000 viewers on the live stream. The Saturday streams are very important for the channel. Like, that's what helps the channel survive. This channel would not stick around if we was to do Collision streams. Like, we would have to either drastically change our content, or we would have to shut it down, and I'd have to go off and get a job, right? If it weren't for what we do on a Saturday, we wouldn't be able to stick around. So if WWE were doing a pay-per-view on a Saturday, then we tend to get about 30,000 for that. There's a rough ballpark. I mean, for WrestleMania, we'll knock on the door for 100,000. So if WWE had done that match on a Saturday, would I have found time? Yeah. Because I can get the views out of that, which help the channel survive. I can't get the views out of Collision. Can't get the views out of Collision. People ain't watching it. So, I mean, like, what do you want me to do? Grant said, I didn't mind tonight's show, but I was going back and forth with the World Series. Grant, I hope you're well. Seeing Edge run so far, I reckon WWE saved themselves about 3 million, whilst also not having to worry about Edge turning their business around. I think it's a shame, to be honest, that they couldn't keep Edge around. I mean, this was one of the reasons why I just gave props to AEW. I said that, you know, Toni Storm's doing great stuff. Jamie Hayter's got a place where she can ply her trade. You've got Edge, who wanted to do more, and WWE didn't have more for him. So I think look, WWE, are they going to look at it as they've saved like $3 million? I think it'd be disappointing if they looked at it that way. I think I would rather WWE be disappointed that they couldn't accommodate Edge, and that a legend that has given so much to their business we couldn't have found more for him to do. I would much rather WWE look at it that way. But if they are looking at it as they've just saved $3 million, then that's up to them, innit? That's up to them. I wouldn't want to look at it that way. I think we should be disappointed that WWE couldn't find something considerable for Edge to get his teeth into, rather than him leave and then play his trade to WWE's biggest rival, AEW. So I think this works for everyone, to be honest. I think the Edge situation, the only people that it doesn't work for are the hardcore WWE fans, because I think they've lost the legend and they're probably not going to watch AEW. So, for them, it's frustrating. But I think for AEW fans, there's a healthy love and respect for Edge, so it works for them. I think for WWE fans that also watch AEW, there's they can still watch him. For Edge, he can still play his trades. And for WWE, maybe they did save some money, Maybe they did save a bit of money, and so they can look at it and go, do you know what? It didn't work for us. We can use that money elsewhere. Edge still gets to carry on with his career. Win, 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 win. So it's probably healthier to look at it that way, isn't it? Jay, shout out to you, my friends. You never ask for encouragement for super chats. Here is a tip to help support the channel. Jay, I really appreciate it, man. I really appreciate it. It's very helpful. Let's put it that way. Like the general rule of thumb is you'll probably make about £1 from ad revenue for every 1,000 views. So like for this stream, we'll probably get just under 4,000. This stream has probably made about £4, right? To put it into perspective. So I think it then puts into perspective like the donations that people put in, just like how much support that provides, Hence why when I was just saying about like the streams we do on a Saturday and those like being the lifeblood of the channel, I'm not lying. If you general rule of thumb, just a general rule of thumb, it doesn't really vary too much from that, but like £1 for every 1,000 views. I don't know if you saw, we spoke about it on the Wrestling Escape Pod, but KSI said that on his TikTok, he looked to see how much he'd earn on his TikTok. KSI, one of the biggest creators, his TikTok had generated him $2,000. $2,000. That's it. I know that sounds like a lot of money, right? But if you think about how big he is and how long he's been like putting TikToks up for and how many views he's got and whatever, $2,000 is probably going to struggle. It might pay the bills. It might pay your bills and get you some food for a month. But like, there's clearly a lot of work that will have gone into his TikTok account. So TikTok for him is just a loss. It's just a way of like getting like his profile out there and whatever. And that's the case for a lot of people, Like YouTube and TikTok and all this, it looks like it's just a dreamland. It looks like I was earning more money, right, when I was working in retail than I do working on YouTube now. It's a true story. More money working in retail. You've got to love what you're doing. I mean, there's great benefits to this because you get to obviously watch wrestling and you get to have chats and conversations about wrestling, and you get to, I would say pick when you stream or whatever, but you don't. I mean, I'm here for every Raw, every NXT, every AEW, every SmackDown, the premium live events, obviously UFC if there's a big UFC show. So, you don't really get to pick your hours, if you will. But I suppose if you did YouTube a little bit differently, you might be able to pick and work how you do it. But yeah, don't think when you look at some of these influencers and when you look at some of these channels that are like flashing their Rolexes and flashing their bling cars and everything, like Maybe if you're a top one, a top channel like a Mr. Beast or a KSI or a Logan, yeah, maybe. But yeah, it ain't the sexy party that it's made to look like. It's all smoke and mirrors, man. It's all smoke and mirrors. So yeah, maybe that's something. Do you know what? It's horrifying that the kids these days want to grow up to be. Someone needs to have an honest conversation with the kids of the world, man. Kids of the world want to grow up to be influencers because they've seen the likes of Mr. Beast and KSI and everything. Someone needs to tell these kids of the world the cold, harsh truth. This ain't get rich quick scheme at all. But it can seem that way because there's a lot of people that are showing off because it gets views. If you show off like your car that you've rented, your watch that's your mate's, and you're like living your high life, and it gets good engagement, it gets good views. But I'll bet you anything the truth is I'll bet you anything the reality is very different to the perception. So JB, I really appreciate it, man. Really appreciate the support. I appreciate everyone that joins us and shares their views. Whatever people's views are, it's absolutely fine. It's absolutely acceptable for people, as long as they're honest opinions. I don't block people. So, if you want to come on and you want to say your piece and you want to respond to something I've said, you can do that. Because I don't go out of my way to block people. I don't go out of the way to block opposing opinions. I welcome them. All I look for is people being honest and like truth, because I ain't ashamed of what I say. I ain't ashamed of any opinions that I share, because I believe in those opinions and I stand by those opinions. So I'm happy to defend those opinions as well. That's why I don't look to block people. The only time I would block people is if people are like using racist kind of, that kind of language. Stuff where, we overstep a mark. Other than that, share your opinions, share away, all are welcome. If you think that people are being, myself included, unreasonable, the show was fantastic and you absolutely loved it, share your opinion. If you think that the show was rubbish, then you can put that in as well. If you think it was so-so, you can put that in. Everyone is welcome, and I mean that. Right, where are we? God, we've gone well over. WWE for Life said YouTubers and TikTokers are celebrities beyond loaded with money. They are rich beyond belief. Mrs. Armour Forever Firefly said, that's why we love you. You are you. Jim said, it's also can be just as easy to get demonetized from YouTube as it is to be monetized. That's true. That's true. You can, we get demonetized on the web all the time for showing clips and different bits and bobs, It doesn't bother me because, the web, honestly, the web makes about $3 a month. There's nothing to that. But so if we do have a video submission and it's got like a music track playing and we get demonetized for it, then, whatever. But that's why I have to be super careful on this channel with like playing videos off Twitter or like, I can show still images. That's fine. But then obviously you've got other channels that are getting demonetized for their like views and language. And it's true. There's lots of different tightropes that you have to walk. Jobson said, I also think signing with AEW or Impact, the ability for wrestlers like AAA or New Japan against other places. What do you mean? Start a Twitch channel, said Botched Eye Surgery. Play some wrestling games. What could go wrong? Honestly, I'm happy with our arrangement. I ain't complaining. This is no complaints detected. I feel very privileged to be able to sit here and chat away with you guys. It's great. I love it. It doesn't bother me that, like, in retail, I used to make a bit more money. It doesn't bother me. It's, being able to do something that you can put your heart and soul into, that you can share your passion about wrestling with, And like that's a very fortunate position to be in. So I would say that if you was young and you do dream of being a YouTuber, if it's not for the money and it's to pursue something that you are passionate about, you're passionate about something and you want to share that passion. I mean, if you're passionate about wrestling and you're young, I'd say get into wrestling then and try and be a wrestler. But if that's a path that's not open to you for whatever reason, then absolutely YouTube can be a fantastic platform, and social media can be a fantastic platform. I wouldn't speak out against it, but don't get into it thinking that you're going to be making loads of money, because you can go into something like retail and make more. And let's not even get started on if you can be a doctor or a lawyer or something like that. I mean, it considerably more, right? It depends on your channel and the views, of course. But I mean, I wouldn't deem this an unsuccessful channel. I'd say this channel's been fairly successful. Not, it ain't no cultaholic, but it's been fairly successful. And so I can speak from a place of knowing, if you want to come in and have a channel of this sort of size, do it for the passion. Because if you want the money, be a lawyer, be a doctor, right? Pursue that instead. Because you'll be rolling in it if you go in that route, right? Certainly more than if you go in this route. My friend lost her gossip channel for playing a video clip of someone stealing her original content. That was crazy to me. The process of appeal seems crazy. Well, do you know, the process of appeal is that if someone flags one of your videos for copyright, you then have to lodge an appeal, but there are very clear messages from YouTube that say you are now entering a legal battle, basically. Like, this can now escalate to the courts. Like, this is out of our control. Like, someone has said you've got their content. You're now saying that you've either haven't or you're using it in a fair manner. This is out of our jurisdiction now. So all of a sudden, you are now entering into something that is a legal conflict that can now go to the courts. And so the problem is, if you've got a video and it gets flagged, if it gets flagged incorrectly, there is a chance that you are going to have to go to court and go through legal costs and everything to get it rectified. The only alternative is if you respond to that person that put the claim in and made it clear that, look, what you're saying isn't true for this, this, and this, and hope that they retract their side of it. If they don't retract it, well, then you've got a real battle on your hands. And that whole procedure is it can be a nightmare. I've had that happen to me where I've not thought it was fair. And to be perfectly honest, I've left it because I don't want it. I've sent them an email back saying it was New Japan. I sent them an email back saying I don't think you're correct. I think how I've used the footage definitely falls in fair use. And I believe I'm covered by fair use for this reason, this reason, and this reason. And I never heard back from them. So it was like, what do I do? Go to court? So, yeah, you're right. I mean, you have to deal with that side of it as well. And I have had that side of it a few times. It's a flipping nightmare. Thankfully, not for a long time, though. But, this is where when people talk like, you're going to do New Japan. No, I ain't touching New Japan. I've had some serious issues with them in the past. And if you get 3 strikes, your channel gets deleted. So you have to be super, super careful. Super, super careful. So there are many tightropes that have to be walked. You should start a OnlyFans. Let's go. Yes, that's it. Now we're getting to the real stuff. Now we're getting to the let's make some serious money. I like that. Listen, I'm going to call it quits there because I'm going to go and smack my head off with Nurofen, and also I haven't had anything to eat. So, as I said before, I appreciate everyone joining us. If you enjoyed AEW, brilliant. If you didn't, brilliant. If you loved it, if you didn't love it, I am thankful that people join us and share their honest opinions. It's all I look for, and I appreciate it. So we're back on. I feel like I should do something tomorrow, to be honest, but don't know what. Normally I'd be doing research, but I don't need to do research this week because, of course, it is Crown Jewel. So I don't need to do research. So that means that I am free tomorrow. We'll have a little look at that. We'll see what about tomorrow, but if not, then Friday. Oh, I think almost certainly something for the members tomorrow, actually. I didn't do anything last week, so almost certainly something for the members. In fact, scrap that. Certainly something for the members. And maybe something on the channel as well. We'll see. But if not, then I'm back on Friday. And of course, we are back around this Saturday for Crown Jewel. Awesome. Have a great evening wherever you are. And I will see you again next time.